And welcome everyone to Roundabout Cast 80, Big 80. Been doing this for
80.
way too long. I think,
Yeah.
it's 80. That's right.
No wonder I have ringing in my fucking ears.
Damn.
This is
Dude,
shit.
so no shit, Joe. Yo,
Yeah.
speaking of 80 and getting fucking old, we went to Texas Roadhouse the other night. This is what I'm gonna open. I'm gonna open the podcast with this.
No,
shit
this is
on
good.
the topic of getting old. I went to Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm gonna say that place is fucking loud as shit.
Damn.
Like, it was fully packed. That's no issue. It's that they are like turning up the music over every single person in the restaurant talking so you can hear the music. They're like, we don't care how many fucking people are in here. You need to hear this goddamn music.
I didn't notice the loudness personally, but maybe.
I put in my AirPods. I got AirPods for these are my first ones ever, and they have the noise suppression feature on them.
Mm-hmm.
I put in these AirPods like fucking earplugs to block out the music that was so loud that was hurting my ears are sensitive now and they were hurting, and so I had to put those on, and I could still hear everybody just fine because it was like deeper, but the like high pitched music was like out.
Oh, I was sitting next to you and I didn't notice the earpods. Maybe my eyesight's going bad.
Wait, no, I didn't go to Texas Roadhouse with you, dog.
Oh, I'm thinking of the barbecue place we went to. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never
That
mind.
place was fine.
Oh, Texas Roadhouse is always loud. My bad. My mistake.
Yeah.
But part two of
But yeah, Joe, my ears are ringing too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that barbecue place we went to together. I don't know what happened, but I was feeling funky after that. I don't.
It was the swim, man.
No, it wasn't, because I didn't even swim that much, and I just felt like I think my cut of meat, because I didn't get the brisket, was like particularly fatty. I don't know. It was not feeling
Brisket was hella fatty.
hella.
It's so we went to Terry Black's barbecue. In my opinion, it is that is where all the tourists go, because I showed up there I've been going swimming early in the morning, and then it's like I'll go out and it's like 8 a.m. I'll swim for like an hour and a half or so, and then Terry Black's opens at like 10:30 or some shit. And then I'll show up as soon as it opens because I'm hungry. I've been awake for like 3 or 4 hours. I want breakfast. Meat's fine. Like, there's no difference in like barbecue meat for breakfast and like sausage. Like, what's the deal? They're like, oh, where are you from? I was like, oh, I'm from here. Like, they were asking me. They're like, oh, you showed up first thing in the morning. You must be a stupid tourist who thinks the line gets too long. And I go, oh, I'm from here. And they were just like, oh,
Why?
you're weird, because it's like absolutely good but mid barbecue.
I did like the sides. I will say, did it ever occur to you that our dinner was a couple of chips and a bunch of margarita? That was a
damn good meal, and you will not complain.
I came out I realized I ate like a little bit of barbecue in the morning and then 5 chips, and that was my dinner, and I drank a bunch of margarita that night. I was lucky to be good that morning, and we had to stop by like a coffee place for me to eat an oatmeal bowl before we hit the road because I was dying.
I think so. I was like, yo, there's lots of snacks and everything. Everybody can just snack, and if they want more food, they can get it at the karaoke place.
Mm-hmm.
As of right now, my count is like 7 or 8 people that do not recall the latter half of that evening.
Damn. It was a good time. We went karaoke for Tyler's birthday. Everyone say happy birthday in the comments or I will block you from this channel.
And if you do say happy birthday, I'm going to kill myself.
Nice.
Nice.
Tyler, by the way, if someone agreed with your hot Destiny takes, just randomly, like, you hit it on the nail, so, like, someone's with you in your range.
Oh, did you post those? I didn't see those posted.
It was just, there was just one, I think.
Okay.
But someone's out there for
yeah. The glowing monster hit the nail right on the head. Gee. Thanks, dude. I was just going off on a rant.
It was lovely. So, what do we got going on recently in life? Who wants to go first?
Ooh, for quickies?
Yeah.
I want to go, because you know what?
Let's go.
For my quickie, I've been waiting a long time to watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because we were waiting for it to show up on streaming, which I think it finally hit this past month. And you know what?
Mm-hmm.
In the MCU, Guardians of the Galaxy always been some of my favorites, and they still got it, y'all.
Easily the best franchise within the franchise.
Yeah.
It made me actually pretty impressed that, like, they still have writers that I think care about the characters.
They don't anymore because James Gunn works for DC now, so like it's over.
But James Gunn wrote that.
But he's gonna make some good movies over there, I hope.
He's working on the Superman movie, and like I feel like that's gonna be a banger.
That has me very excited because it sounds like he's trying to step away from like the serious, more edgy Superman that got popular the past.
Yeah.
I don't know how long.
Popular is interesting.
Maybe not popular, but like they've been doing it a lot.
I mean, the Snyderverse people are diehard. Like, ooh, that's a cult.
Yeah, but they also, only got halfway through introductory politics and then dropped out. But
fair.
Yeah, no, it seems like he's going for like the classic like Superman who tries to be a good person even when it's hard. But we're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yes.
Which, God, I thought it was so cool how like the overarching plot of this dude trying to make his own perfect world ties in perfectly with like the grief that Peter's going through personally.
Yeah.
Where it's like he wants to just get his perfect little life and his crew back the way it was, but he just can't.
And I really like how that's resolved. How it's like it's a bittersweet ending with Gamora, but it's like the right ending for them to go with.
yeah,
It's the right ending. Oh my god, I really loved it.
And then,
Anybody
like,
else think Peter was gonna die in space?
yes, I was very upset about it.
Dude, I thought for real he died.
I was not. I was sitting there like not ready for the confirmation. I was like, please be a fake out.
I was like he's not gonna die here, and then his face started puffing up, and I was like, I guess he's dead.
He's fucking dead.
nah, he just turned to Luffy for a little bit when he got stuck in these.
Speaking of Luffy, I felt like the movie had a very like One Piece arc like feel. Like it tugs at your heartstrings with the One Piece backstory. It's got a One Piece-esque villain with I forgot his name, but he was so good.
High Evolutionary. Same shit with the second Suicide Squad movie. That shit was in his lobby. But yeah, I feel like James Gunn is a One Piece fan because there's way too much like.
He's definitely I was gonna say he's definitely a JoJo's fan, but that's Rian Johnson, as we confirmed with Glass Onion.
When they make the One Piece live action movie, James Gunn will direct it.
But dude, he's just a very empathetic director and writer, and I feel like we need more of that. His jokes can be grating at times, but I actually felt Guardians 3 was my favorite comedic movie because it was kind of not funny a lot of the time. So the funny parts like hit more when we did them.
It wasn't like a constant stream of one-liners, but like it was still dense.
Yeah,
Open the fucking door.
good F-bomb. But yeah, every character got a good send-off. And so Bradley, do you consider that your MCU end, or are you gonna check out some future projects?
I might check out some future projects. I'm still not in the mode of like I gotta watch every new motherfucking thing, but this was one of those ones where I was like, okay, no, you know what? I heard that they're doing like an Agatha show that's like maybe a part 2 to WandaVision.
Yeah.
Yes, but that show's gonna be weird because it's gonna be the first step to evil overlord Disney because they scanned in all the WandaVision folks so they don't have to pay them. Like they're gonna be AI CG people in the show, which is just
with weird hands.
Really fucked.
And then they're gonna tie that into the plot though.
Wait, Willard.
Yes.
Why is it just now fucked when they've been doing it to dead people for years?
They haven't been doing it to dead people for years. Marvel's been doing it recently, and it's been fucked.
You said, but Disney's been doing it for years.
But a person still plays that. There's still an actor on set playing that position. They just get DG face on them.
Someone's getting paid for that role, as opposed to I scanned you and you're in this movie without your consent. Like I don't have to draw the line to how fucked that is.
But is it without consent, or was it paperwork they didn't get a lawyer for and they got fucked in that way?
Both are fucked up, if you ask me. Like
both are fucked up, but that's probably more likely what happened.
Bro, if you put my likeness in a movie, I deserve to be paid for it. That's my opinion, even if it's a small residual. But anyways, it's fucked. I'm checked out of the MCU, but if the reviews for the Miss Marvel's show or movie is good, I'll watch
the Marvels.
Yeah,
that could be a good one. That could be a good one.
That one I'm cautiously optimistic for because I like the premise and I like those 3 characters, but their current run has not been good. So
I'm so done.
Yeah.
Which segues into my quickies, actually, because I watched Blue Beetle not too long ago. I don't know if any of y'all watched this movie.
I heard it was Mexican Ant-Man.
You saw a TikTok.
I did see a TikTok.
He do be watching TikToks. Mexican Ant-Man, it's better than Ant-Man. I think Ant-Man is so bland.
Blue Beetle's so fucking cooler than Ant-Man.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not great by any. It was cute. Like, I think the movie is too much by the books, but I think what it does the best is its family aspect. Blue Beetle's very tied to his family. As soon as he transforms into the Blue Beetle, like, the whole family's in the room, so it's like not a secret at all in the movie. George Lopez is his uncle. He's very fun in the movie.
That's good.
I wanted to see the movie, honestly. Like, I like Blue Beetle a lot, but I also love George Lopez.
Yeah, I feel like you would love George Lopez in this. Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while, so I don't know if he's been in a hiatus or whatnot, but it was nice to see him.
He might have gone underground with the rest of people. Like I don't know. There's a thing about a lot of comedians that just stopped working in the early 2010s during like the start of like PC culture, I think.
Maybe he's
he is with those old school comedians, and
yeah.
I think he timed his exit accordingly.
Could be. And yeah, like it had a lot of heart. I think that's like the main takeaway from the movie. And I like the main actor for Blue Beetle. He's the main character of Cobra Kai. Which reminds me, I need to fucking watch the Cobra Kai season.
Yeah,
I always forget.
Yeah, same. It's done. Like the series is wrapped up.
Okay, sweet. So. Yeah, perfect time to jump on. What is an extra fun though is we made a bingo card when we went. And this should be a tradition anytime you go watch a superhero movie, because it was like a bingo card of superhero cliches. And it was just kind of fun to go through it and debate, like, what was a prominent X or not. I almost got a bingo. I thought the movie was lacking a predominant hero's landing, and that was a point of contention. So as a result, I did not get my bingo, but it made it a lot of extra fun, so that's pretty memorable. I could also talk about a TV show I've been watching. I've been watching a show called Yellowjackets. I don't know if any of y'all have heard of this show.
I have not heard of it.
Yeah.
Is it about girls camping in the woods? Am I misremembering it?
Well, that's one way to put it, buddy.
That's the B plot.
No. So what actually happens is a soccer team, all-girls soccer team, is about to go to the high school nationals. They're all seniors, I think, and the plane crashes in a Lost-esque fashion. And they all end up in the woods stranded. So yes, Joe, they are camping, but I don't think it's very fun.
I was halfway there.
They're
in the woods.
Yeah. It's MTV's version of Lost.
And is this an MTV show?
No, that's just the joke that I made.
Okay, good joke. And then the other plot line is 20 years later, you get to see the characters as adults. And I think what's interesting is...
Oh, it's Lost.
Yes.
It would be... No, you never watched Lost in the shows.
Me?
No, not quite. Well, it is one season of Lost, but I won't spoil which one because it's the greatest plot twist.
It's season 4.
Shut up! Don't spoil Lost. It's so good. Everyone go watch Lost. So, 20 years later, you only see like 4 of the girls, so you're left with this lingering mystery of like how many of them made it out and where are they at. I'm assuming we'll see a lot of them in season 2. I'm like 2 episodes from finishing still. This is a good show, but it opens up really interesting because like you get this immediate sense that the girls get found by like some wild cult and are forced into like rituals and death games and shit, but the show still hasn't gotten there like 6 to 7 episodes in. They're just kind of stranded and camping, and the future plotline is so fucking slow. Like nothing's really happening. Like the characters have a lot of trauma, and I think it's interesting to see like the people that they grew up into, but the character writing is not quite enough to carry how much the plot is just all about the characters. And there's a murder mystery. One of them got killed, and that's revealed like in episode 3. So that's like
shit. I'm glad I didn't say anything.
Oh, because I haven't finished and you have. You seen this?
Yeah. How many seasons is it?
2. I think.
2.
Okay, I've seen pretty heavily into season 2, but only as background of Kelly watching it.
Gotcha. What are your thoughts as a background viewer?
as a background viewer, it's like it has really good production value, and the plot seems interesting enough. But I do just think it is MTV's lost.
Yeah, MTV.
It's by Showtime.
Yep, MTV's lost. Yep. But yeah, I will still finish. Well, the problem is I have to finish it because, long story short, in my torrenting site, I had to become a good boy really fast to get a friended invite. So I had to download 2 seasons of the show in like the Free Leech program, where like it's a free download, but they're like big files. So I just went ahead and got both seasons without knowing if I would like it. So I'll watch both seasons for that invite and be a good boy in the little community. And yeah, like it's fine. The other things I've been doing is I've been starting 2 new manga.
Okay.
I'm only 22-ish chapters into both. I kind of alternate them. Haven't had much time lately for reasons that I'll point out later. Because Yakuza's been taking up my free time, basically. And one of them is a Jump series called Undead, Unluck. It is of the newer school. I think it only has like somewhere between 150 to 200 chapters right now. The premise is, this is a world where people have supernatural abilities, as you do. And there's 2 main characters. One's a girl. She has the power of unluck. Anyone she touches with her skin gets proportional luck to A, how long they touched it, and B, how affectionately she feels for them.
Oh.
So her like the manga opens in one of my favorite opening pages, I think, of anything I've read, where she finishes reading a shoujo manga and she's like, "Oh, that was really sweet. What a sweet romance. Okay, time to die." And then she closes the manga page and jumps into an oncoming train. Because she's tired of living this life where she will never get romance because everyone dies around her because of her unluck. And which leads us to our second main character called Andy, who has the power of undead. He has basically unlimited regeneration. And he saves her, and he's like naked half the time, so he has a huge dick, and it's always censored by a black bar.
I was about to say, I googled this series, and I think every single one of the 36 pictures on Google Images, his shirt is off.
Yeah, he does eventually get a creature that is a suit that can like regenerate, so he has an excuse now to get clothes after he transforms. Off the bat, a strength of this series is how well explored the power system is. I'm constantly at awe at how far they'll go to set up rules for everyone's ability. Like, a lot of the story is Andy trying to kill himself permanently with Fuko's ability of unluck. He's trying to get like the worst luck ever, so he actually dies because he's immortal. As a result, like, it's a lot of him like prodding away at seeing like how she operates with some mild sexual harassment at the start, but it kind of blooms into a romance eventually, like a really uncanny but like pretty prominent romance between the 2 leads, which is kind of rare for Jump. He's trying to fuck her really badly, and she's not letting that happen yet. But who knows? Chapter 100 bonus chapter might go crazy.
I have a question about a comment you made after we get done with our second thing.
Sure. And then so yeah, like, the powers are really good. Andy also will use regeneration in the most creative way I've ever seen. Like, he will blow off his legs so he can quickly regenerate new feet so he can fly and like shoot off, or he'll like launch his fingers by like regenerating a new finger underneath him. Like, the body horror and way that he does things, like he will constantly like shoot blood blades by slicing through himself with a sword so fast that it makes like a blood projectile, and it's cool because he'll just regenerate. And like every character has that kind of ability. I think the second strength, and this will get into a spoiler around chapter 20 that is fucking mind-blowing. So you have this introductory arc. You get introduced to this organization of other people with abilities, like Unjustice and Unsight. Like, they're all named after that, and they kind of control an aspect of reality. You come to find out that this organization takes requests from an apocalyptic book that sends them a list of like 10 requests every time period, and for each one that they succeed in, they get a reward, such as, hey, if you complete this one, you can add a new member to your group, or if you complete this one, will give you the location of a dangerous person with a superhuman ability. Or if you complete this one, it actually makes the second quest among the list easier. So they have to like prioritize who to send to what mission and how to do it. But the downside is, for each mission they don't complete, and it's impossible for them to complete all of them, the book adds a new aspect of reality. And the first one that we get to see is that the book added stars. Like, the world, and you can go back and read the story, the world just didn't have the concept of, like, space outside of the Earth and the sun. There was just nothing there. So, like, they fail a mission, and all of a sudden there's stars. And, like, all of a sudden now there's days of the calendar. Like, stuff just gets added to the world, and then you're like, wait, how did this world function beforehand? So that's part of the mystery, like, as I'm getting to, like, after this has been introduced, of, like, oh, cool. So, like, they gamify the mission structure, and, like, I'm excited to see how they're going to prioritize missions, how they're going to get, how they're going to get around certain new rules and bad things that are introduced. Like, the way that these things are introduced, like, the galaxy was introduced through an Uma, which is a monster. So now there's a monster that represents the galaxy and, like, the cosmos, and that was just added because they couldn't do a mission. And, like, I just want to see how that goes. It's a very interesting premise.
Wait, is this still Undead Unluck?
Yeah, like, this is the same series about the zombie with the big cock trying to fuck the Unluck girl. Like, it's wild. There's gonna be an anime soon, Tyler, and I recommend you check that out. I didn't see that.
It comes out next month.
Yeah, and so far it looks pretty good. It's by the people that did Hunter x Hunter. So, quality stuff.
They are good, yeah.
They are good. The second series I've been reading... Oh, sorry, what was the comment you wanted to make?
I think I got my image. I found the image to answer my comment. Is like there is this image of the guy who can't die just pulling the entire shirt of the Unluck girl and groping her.
Oh yeah, that's chapter 1 or 2.
Yeah. I'm just like, my question initially was going to be how much sexual harassment can be in an anime or manga, until you're just like, oh, that's a little too much for me, dog. This is weird.
Thankfully, it gets it tones down after the first 3 or 5 chapters, and then like he starts to respect her a little more. Which
also, that's just the horny tax. Do y'all know about the horny tax?
More or less, I feel like I could.
That's like, so.
We're going to talk about the horny tax later.
No. I've noticed this recently, and a lot of anime and manga, they will just put straight up blatant horny tax in like the first few chapters to get people into it.
They do go extra.
It completely goes away.
Yeah. You might be onto something. It's like a way to get controversy and eyes on it, hook in an audience. The second series I've been reading is Slam Dunk. Now this is a classic from the 90s.
Yeah.
Did you know that Slam Dunk, despite being over for like decades at this point, still tops like the top 10 manga sold every year? Like, Japan loves this series.
That's the sports anime, dog.
This hits different. Like, this is generational with like how popular it still is. A movie just came out for it.
That's the thing. I've always heard of this one.
So I've given it a try before, bounced off of it. This time I've broken through. It's interesting. It takes them like 20 chapters to get to the first game, which is a lot for a sports series. A lot of that is just character building and training. I think the series is so charming and funny. Like, I really got addicted this time. You can already tell that it's going to be a series with really deep character dynamics and really good character arcs for all the characters. Which, like Haikyuu, which is one of my favorite series of all time. So, not much to say there. I think the main character is super funny. His crush on the main girl is great, and the main girl's also very fun. His rivals are fun. The coach and the team captain, all great characters. There's like one little 2-chapter arc so far that was a miss. Everything else is a complete hit. And like, it starts off so goofy and fun where it's like, I know people cry over this series, so like, the turn into sad times is gonna hit hard, I can tell. So I'm pretty excited about that. And yeah, I will update you guys as I make progress on those two, and I'll pass the baton to whoever wants to grab it.
I'll go. So I guess all I have here for my quickies are I just watched a bunch of movies in theaters. So starting from here, I watched Haunted Mansion. This movie's okay. It's very shallow, and there's not a lot going on with it. It's kind of funny.
A live action remake?
Yes, live action remake. It's kind of funny. I didn't like the original Haunted Mansion movie either, or at least as grown up. I don't nearly find it nearly as funny. This one feels a lot more like references to the ride, which was neat, but like just overall just very shallow. Very good pass. That guy is trying to have sex with you as a bear.
Dude, there's no context for any listener to what you just said.
I know.
Anyways.
Anyways, and then I also watched the new Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. I did like this movie. I think the movie's a bit too kiddish for me, which is fine.
I watched some. I watched this movie at a drive-in theater, so I watched some of the movie, and the parts I watched were quite good. Specifically, that montage. That was really good. I think you know the one.
Yes.
And the villain.
The montage is very good.
The villain was making me giggle when he was introduced. I just think he's a very funny villain.
Yeah. I do like the movie. I think the movie's pretty good. I do not like Splinter in this movie. I think
he was so bad.
He's so bad. And like I was talking to Willer about this in like an off conversation, I think a week after I watched it or a few days after I watched it. But like I have a theory that he was originally made for like Seth Rogen or someone else, and then someone said like you can't be Master Splinter or said something to that regard, and they had Jackie Chan take that role instead because he's like that character, like what's coming out of his mouth, like how he talks doesn't match who he is. Like Jackie Chan, like it's very jarring, and like what you want from that character also isn't there either. He's like too much of an uppity dad, I think.
It was weird. I do need to watch this movie properly because I'm interested to see because like he was not hitting at all at the start, and
no, I don't think he hits throughout the rest of the movie either. Like I think he was just not great. It was bad.
How'd you feel about the Turtles pop culture references? I thought they were pretty cute.
Those are cute. It was kind of like weird. It made me feel old because now people my age are probably writing these movies, and so that's because like at one point they talk. They make a plan that's based off of Attack on Titan, and it's wild.
Sick.
It was very weird, but not gonna cap points against it for that because times change. But no, I think it was good. I think the animation is good when there's action. They have that like lower frame count, so when people are just standing and talking, it looks a little bit weird. It doesn't nearly look as good as in Spider-Man, for example. Yeah. So but yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. And then I saw Bottoms. This movie, I was so stupid, but really funny. And
I don't know much about this one.
So this movie has Alice from Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
Yes, and also Shiva Baby. That's the one thing I know.
Yes.
Love her. She's great.
Yes, she co-wrote the movie. And then it also has Missy from Big Mouth in it as well. They're the two leads of the movie. It's about these two lesbian girls start a fight club in their high school for girls only to get laid. That's the plot of the movie. But like, which is pretty good. I really like the plot itself. Like that's kind of funny, like a weird twist on Fight Club.
That's a good scheme.
Yeah,
it'll pay off.
That's for the purpose of like expressing gay sexuality and like the relationship between like, I think that's a good setup, right? Like it's just like the troubles of being like outcast in high school as well as having these urges and being of like having a sexuality that is not is having a sexuality that's against the norm, more or less. Like if we were gonna say straight is what people would oftentimes think of in movies and television. So I think they did a setup good. But oh my god, there's just shit going on in this movie that like was making me feel like I was going crazy. And the way the dialogue and editing too, it's very purposely like throwing you for a loop. Like it's so weird. It's such a bizarre movie to watch. I'm really happy I had my Alamo pass that let me just watch it for free basically. So I didn't spend money on the movie. I don't know if I'll ever watch this movie again, but I also want to put it on the movie roulette wheel. Just like I need y'all to experience this movie because I feel like I was.
That seems like a fun movie roulette movie.
Yeah, it was really fun. I not the highest quality of comedy, but not the worst either.
A
but
nice mid
really,
movie.
I would say higher tier than mid. It at least was a little bit better.
High mid, nice.
High mid, yeah. But yeah, I think of those Ninja Turtles and not Bottoms are pretty good, and we're checking out. Bottoms. But yeah, that's my Quickies. Oh, also, I did mention this to you, Willer, but I've been watching My Adventures with Superman since we brought it up with the James Gunn one. It reminded me of this.
Horny Superman.
Yeah, I haven't watched the last episode yet. This is a show that's made by the same people that did the Voltron Netflix show.
Oh, they sure know how to please the fan base.
Yeah. I think the character designs are really good. I think stylistically it looks neat. However, I don't think the action in this show is really good at all. There are parts of like Clark Kent that really fall flat to me. Like, for example, Clark Kent is 22 years old. He's out of college and he's still like accidentally breaking shit. Like he doesn't know his strength, which I think is really weird because it's not like he was zapped by a laser and got this strength.
Yeah.
He grew up with it. So
like,
I could understand.
He figured that shit out at like 13 at latest.
Yeah, like I could understand if he was like 16, 17 and like he's going through puberty and like it's starting to get a growth spurt and like it's really starting to come out.
Short hair tomboy Lois is too hot for him to focus.
Oh, don't worry. That's like top of the list of the show. But yeah, no, it kind of grinds my gears with Clark is that like why are you breaking shit accidentally when you've grown up with these powers your entire life? Also, he hasn't developed all of his powers either, but that might be explained in the last episode that I haven't watched yet because they've set this whole other mystery for Krypton.
What is he missing? Laser eye?
Yeah, he develops laser eye and then he develops like super hearing later.
Okay.
Yeah, so like he gets some other stuff. But like I think the show's fine. It just is like it's more anime than Superman, and I think that's what's bothering me about it, right? Like if you're gonna like you could have just made it like another anime like superhero show, but you have Superman in it and it just doesn't feel like Superman.
I don't necessarily as someone who has no stake in the Superman race, I might still check this out because that might not be a problem for me.
I don't think it'll be a problem for you, but it's just like kind of one of those things where it's like there's something missing that I can't place at the moment. But it just doesn't feel nearly as like what I want from a Superman, I guess. Also, there's this really small, stupid thing that I hate, and I don't know how to explain it. But basically, there's a character who is looking for an item, and when you find the item, it's like oh, that's the thing from the comic books. But then when he picks it up, it turns into something that better fits his character design, and I'm like, why does your thing that you have now look like that or doesn't look like that when it's not connected to you? That's just a really weird design choice for me. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Sure is. I have bros onto nothing. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, it's just a really small nitpick for me. But yeah, that's about it.
Real quick, I forgot one thing. I've been reading more Count of Monte Cristo on drives and workouts, and
yeah,
we finally hit the point that I didn't like in the book. Because I was very positive about it. Well, basically, there's this stretch where so Mr. Count escapes a prison, finds a certain fortune, and then does a few last good deeds before he sets off, and there's a huge time skip, and he returns as the mysterious Count of Monte Cristo. There's a stretch there where we follow a character called Franz, who is...
Yes.
I don't even fucking know. This dude bored me so much I forgot what he does. I think he's just kind of like an adventurer, like, businessman, aristocrat. And, like, we follow him for a little while and some of his friends, and, like, they meet the Count, and the Count's, like, really mysterious through them, and I get what they're doing there. Also, I'll get to that in a second. But, it's just kind of, it's a real big pace breaker because it is long. Now, I've heard everything in this book does, like, matter. So after I read some of these chapters where I'm unengaged with, I'm like... I'm gonna pull out the Spark notes like I'm in an English class to make sure I got everything. Cause man, those are some boring. We're back to following the Count now, and he's still pretty mysterious even as like the bro tag. But that was a tough stretch to get to, so it's been better. He's actually meeting the people now that he's supposed to get revenge on. I will say, and I think this is really interesting, especially for a book that old. The Count is such a cunt. Like, he was the sweetest boy back in the day, and even after like leaving prison, he does all his nice deeds. But it is interesting because as he's sailing away, he's like, "Well, that was the last good thing I do because now I'm a beast of revenge." And boy, does he live up for it. Because like this dude's a motherfucker. He is like.
Yeah.
He is like spitefully talking about people and society and how the common man's a plague on the earth, and he's so mean to his slaves. Like, he's like, "This is my property," and I'm like, is he playing it up or is he just kind of a dick now? But I'm also like not against it. I think it's interesting to show him like this edgy at this point, like after how much of a sweetheart he is. Like, it's a tonal shift for sure. But once you get used to it, it's kind of an interesting direction to take for your protagonist of a book that is that old. So I'm kind of with it, but it is an interesting point of contention. Basically all I got, and I will continue reading it. I will finish this book roughly in 2025 because it's so long, and I get like burnt out from some of these sections sometimes. So we'll get there when we get there.
I've been reading or listening to the second book of the Dandelion Dynasty. The Wall Storms, sequel to The Way of Kings, and I got to a point. I distinctly remember, like, I was listening to the book pretty regularly, and I got to a point that made me sick to my stomach. I was like, I have to stop listening to this because it's actually making me like upset.
Oh, let's go.
And then I was like, I should pick back up. What was happening? And as soon as like the conversation started, I was like, oh fuck, I remember what was going on.
Oh, that's great.
It was, but man, it's that series is really good. I think you'll really like it too. But like I got past that point now. Now we're moving and grooving with the plot of like what's happening.
I gotta finish this way too long book and then do my Dublin Murder Squad. I'm missing the crew.
True.
And then one of these days, Brandon Sanderson's 5th book will come out, so I got to do that too. So I will pass the baton on to Tyler, and he gets like a little double section of his quickie, and then another thing.
Oh yeah.
What did I talk about again?
You tell me, Don.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get. Oh, so I watched the movie Megan finally. This has been out like what, a year now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Megan is a movie about a girl who gets a robot friend that they call Megan, and it's not short for Megatron, which is a huge point off of the 10 out of 10.
Oof.
That would have been really funny though. Secretly a Transformers movie.
I mean, it's almost Transformers. This was a good movie. It was very entertaining, not very original in like I guess it's kind of original, but it's like a very predictable movie, but it was still entertaining.
I think the only flaw I had is that they're not like super surprising with it, but they execute on like the tropey stuff really well.
They do. It really feels like honestly, it feels like a Black Mirror extra long special episode.
Yeah, with a lot more humor.
Yeah, I would say it's probably a lot better than a Black Mirror episode. I don't want to insult it in any way, but
I do need to watch the new Black Mirror.
Yeah, it was good. I'm excited for the second one. I do want to see what that's gonna be about.
I think that one will be even better. I think they'll take more risks and it'll be like spicy.
It's very reminiscent of old school slasher horror, which is nice. Basically a new age Child's Play is essentially what it feels like.
Yes, for sure. Which reminds me, I gotta watch the Chucky show. There's too much content.
So yeah, like it was good. I would recommend it. Even Tommy was like, oh yeah, like I wasn't expecting anything coming into it, but am not disappointed by the outcome.
Harsh critic with horror movies, so I think that says a lot.
Yeah. It was nice. It was a good experience.
Nice.
The next one is I've actually recommended this to a couple people now. I started a new audiobook series that I think I spoke about on the podcast before.
Yeah, it's the one with the cat that is better than the human at doing things.
Yeah,
and everyone's dead. Like there's like 1% of population left.
Correct. It's called Dungeon Crawler Carl, and I finished it this week. I got to the end of the first book or that I have on audiobook. Yo, this is the highest production audiobook that I've ever listened to.
Ever?
Yeah, like no. So like
above like Brandon Sando's books, because those are pretty high.
There's more effort put into this book than Brando Sando.
You were saying it had a really good reader. He's like one of those ones that has like kind of like a distinct voice for each character, which I always enjoy.
Each character has a distinct voice, and I'm like to the point where I think there's more than one person doing the voice. Like I think there's more than one person narrating this, and if there's not, this man's wicked amazing. Like there's some even effects where it has like audio effects like added to some of the like parts in it. Like there's moments in the book where they have like an announcer like at a monster truck rally like announcing like the boss battles that are happening, and he has this like monster truck rally announcer effect on it. It's great.
That can go very wrong because it reminds me of Worm, where like the character Bakuda has like a voice filter that makes it really difficult to understand.
Oh, the voice modulation.
No. This is a full-on real production thing. They don't.
Nice.
There's none of that at-home shit.
Nice.
So I think because this is made by Sound Booth Theater, and what they do is they're not. There's no books that they're reading. It's like stage plays or radio plays. They're basically doing.
Yeah,
over,
like
it's.
Go ahead, Joe. Finish it.
The radio plays. Like that's it. That's why like they do that.
Weird that they picked this up. Like I didn't know Judge and Carl had it like that. Like they had the poll.
Y'all, the fucking book is good. Like I'm very entertained.
I looked it up. It's got like 5 stars. It's got thousands of ratings.
What the
it's kind of
fuck?
crazy.
It's got 12,000 ratings and like 4.5 stars.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Tyler. I'm gonna be honest. I'm getting filtered by the name a little bit. I think the name.
No, the name is fucking stupid, but it's like a nice joke on it. So like, the term dungeon crawler is like an insult. Because like obviously I told y'all a little bit about it. It's like a spoof of Hunger Games a little bit. And then the guy's name just happens to be fucking Carl. Like that's it.
So this isn't like a light novel. You said it's a weird RPG book, whatever. Yeah.
So yeah, it is of the lit RPG genre. And that is basically I was describing this the other day to someone. Imagine if American fiction writers wrote like isekai light novels.
Yeah.
But with like out any of anime or light novel tropes. Like this is not meant to be adapted into anything animated ever. It is purely wholly for fictional reading. That being said, apparently the same guy who wrote this book also wrote something called Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon. So he's just on point with these title names.
On point. Yep.
I tried reading another thing in this series of lit RPGs called He Who Fights Monsters, and they're of like the same amount of reviews and the same like tier rating. And that one was just hella fucking cringy. It's about a guy who's put into like a similar situation where it like it's like in a life or death situation where it's like a video game, but he's like, what is a video game? What is mana? What is health points? He's like, oh my god, I've never seen something like that before. It's a monster.
That's the one you recommend to your grandparents so they can keep up.
That is like if a kid has never watched anime before or read a light RPG book before, like that's what I would give to them. It's probably like what a 6 or 7-year-old should listen to or read. This one is like Borderlands style-ish comedy, but not without the Borderlands cringe. but it kind of has some Borderlands cringe to it, but I like it.
I feel like Borderlands cringe is its comedy, which is why it's cringe.
Yeah,
Like-
it's like this book is a little crude, but the narration is so good. It is an audio play that they are really good at their comedy. Like, so there's this bit where they have achievements and they go like, these are like Xbox achievements and they're narrated out loud by the announcer. Hold on, I need someone to fill some time while I look up one of these achievements real quick.
I'm looking up their portfolio right now, and there's some wild stuff here. Like, I'm looking over, and like, there's a series called Small Chests Are Fine Too, and another one just called Everybody Loves Jackson, and it's just this, or no,
He would never.
Everybody
be Raymond.
Loves. Yeah, no, sorry. The thing is just called Jackson, and it's got a big orc on the cover with a hammer. I don't think that's Jackson, but it might be. But who knows? Also, there's Monster Hunt New York City. That's definitely like an anime romance novel. This shit's wild. Portal book side quest that literally has an SNES cartridge in it. Tyler,
Just a lot of
why
time
do I have
killed.
to? Yeah.
So no, I found it. Okay, so this is
Good job,
this is
Joe.
part of it. Thanks, Joe. And it's like they go like, new achievement, you monster, you have killed an infant, and then it's like, okay, unless you're a complete psychopath, we know you probably didn't wake up this morning and tell yourself, today's the day I'm going to slaughter a child. And then it goes, well, let us put your mind at ease. All children mobs who die in the dungeon don't actually perish. They're transferred to a holding area where they're safe and treated nicely and gently until they can be reunited with their loving parents at the end of the season. And after it does all this, it says like a reward at the end of it. So it goes, feel better? Good. And then it goes, reward? These past 20 seconds when your conscience was at ease. That was your reward. Also, it was a lie. That baby is dead, and it's dead because of you.
Is this
You're
in Carl?
totally no, this is what the dungeon is telling Carl because he blows up a room full of goblin babies.
Well, that's pretty fucked up, Carl.
But he didn't know the babies were in that room,
Damn.
as well as the elderly.
Bro wishes he was Taylor, but he's just not built like that.
No. But the AI like does achieve like this is an alien show where like for the past 8 years or 10 years or so, they've studied all of Earth culture and then built a dungeon combined with alien culture and Earth culture into one. So like one of the first enemy mobs they run into are meth slinging llamas. So they're gang banging llamas that spit lava but also carry meth. And he kills the llama and he loots the meth off of its body. What?
It's stupid.
It's hilariously stupid. You're like, that's the feeling I get from it. Like, I'm driving and I don't have to think, man. I'm just like, oh yeah, meth slinging llama. Like, that makes a lot of sense.
I don't know why, but that one broke through the guard.
Because you're not expecting that combination.
I got mixed up.
But then he takes the meth and they're like trying to talk to some goblins because he killed enough goblins to get a goblin pass where he's like respected by the goblins. And then so he's talking to the goblins and he's like, I want you to make me like a motorcycle because they're like goblin engineers that can tinker and make shit. But in order to get that, he has to trade the meth he got from the llamas with him. So like it comes in use later, you know?
Man.
The cool thing about it is there's some nice world building. There's like an entire subplot that you're like, there's a lot of mystery going on with like the government and politics, and there's like business shit going on, and it's very like spot on for like, oh yeah, capitalism bad, you know, but like how is this government gonna go down and who's trying to help them and who's trying to kill them. The AI that controls the dungeon has a foot fetish for Carl.
What?
So yeah, no, it's a thing, and like whenever I think it only happens 3 times in the first book, but the AI, like whenever it's talking about like the achievements, it's always like upbeat and positive, but whenever it talks about the achievements relating to Carl stomping on something with his foot, it sounds like what the 80s child predator in the warning videos they show you at school sounds like. Where it's like, new achievements, like, and it's like frothing at like him stomping on enemies and mobs with his feet.
Now, is this a stomping thing or is this a foot thing? I don't know.
It's everything. It's feet everything with this thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's stupid, and there's a reason I recommended it to everybody except Willer.
Nice. I feel honored.
Mm-hmm.
So you two bozos, let me know if this is any good, because
I would highly recommend this book. This is a dumb book. 10 out of 10. Would recommend if you're into fiction books that are just simple, easy to listen to on the road, and you like the lit RPG characters doing fantasy shit novels.
Yes, the blooming genre. But Tyler, you're also next because you didn't get to talk about Baki last time, so I threw that.
Oh, fucking right, y'all. So the great thing about between me missing last time and this time is part 2 has already come out for Baki season 2, because Baki doesn't fucking cut back. They're like, here's part 1, part 2's 2 weeks later because we just gotta advertise more, and that's it. Like, they're already ready for it.
Good. I mean, it's a season.
This was the pickle arc, all right? I was not ready, apparently, for the pickle arc, and apparently the manga readers were ready, and that would have been a nice thing to have, like, a heads up about.
So
like,
tell us about Pickle. I know some things about Pickle, but why don't you introduce the audience here?
At the end of Baki versus, who's the big guy, American guy?
Muhammad Ali.
No.
Muhammad Ali?
Barack Obama. I know he's in it.
Barack Obama is in this season. That's the new president.
Sick.
He's the big black guy in the prison. Mr. Unchained. We'll call him that. Because that's his, like, fighting name. So after that, at the very end, they, like, tease Pickle. They find a huge iceberg. Pickle is a caveman who is frozen in ice fighting a T-Rex. And at the very beginning, they're trying everything to, like, wake Pickle up. And the only thing that wakes Pickle up is one of the scientists cut off a piece of the T-Rex and started cooking it in his lab on like a Bunsen burner. And he's like, I'm gonna have T-Rex meat. And Pickle smells it, and he's just like, all right, I'm up. Who got the T-Rex meat, dog? So everybody, like, they show Pickle off to the world. He's like bulletproof, tank-proof. Literally, bullets don't even penetrate his skin, and everybody wants to fight him. So I think there's like 3 or 4 fights in this season of like people we've seen throughout the show so far of the new Baki anime of them fighting Pickle. This season, despite the cool concept, a lot of the narrator takes over this season. And it feels very Seven Deadly Sins. Not Seven Deadly Sins. What's that other show? Record of Ragnarok.
Ugh.
Where it's like, here's 20 seconds of fighting, and the narrator creates some elaborate metaphor for why Pickle, as a kid, hates bumblebees. And why he's scared of bees or some shit, and respects butterflies. It's elongated for that reason, and I felt a little bad because of that. Pickle eats a lot of people this season. He does a little bit of the inappropriate groping.
Pickle, no.
Yeah, Pickle uses his pickle. He's got a big pickle that they censor out. It goes like up like 2 feet, I think. Pickle's got a pickle on it.
It's the big dick cast today.
Yeah. Baki is the final fight against Pickle for this. So Pickle's only in this arc. It's called the Pickle arc for a reason. He fights a lot of people. He eats some guy's leg. He eats another guy's face off. There's like a huge makeout scene with Pickle and Jack Hanma where they're just like going at it.
No, go on.
This is
I just believe anything you tell me about this show. So it's like...
this is the second arc where Baki gets cuckolded. So it's quite entertaining. The second cucking of Baki.
Hey, I have a question. I've seen a picture. I've seen a picture from Baki, and I need to know if it's real because I've seen two, and I know one's fake.
The one where he fights the life-size praying mantis is real.
No, there's one where it's a dude in a hospital bed, and he's just reduced to like his head and like a little bit of neck, like as a stamp. That one's fake.
Hold on.
That one's fake.
No. Post it.
I'll try to find it later. But I saw this one. It looked like the anime. I need to know: is there a line or like a moment where some guy goes like, "Now that you're trapped in my tetrahedron, how will you piss?" Is that real?
Oh shit! Maybe.
Oh, I just need to know if it's real. I just need to know the context.
That's a very Baki line, but if either of these exist, it's from like. Oh, yes, that's in the new one. Baki pees on all of the walls to mark his territory to assert his dominance over Pickle.
Okay, cool.
And then he gives Pickle a golden shower.
No, I found it. This is like I just saw this and I just didn't know. It could go either way. Now that your bladder is empty, how will you overcome the tetrahedron? I'm just like, what does that mean?
I don't think. Okay, this is not.
Is this fake?
This might be spoiler for me, dog.
Yeah, that looks like the anime. I don't know.
This might be spoiler from part 2. Because that is some top-notch fucking shit I'm excited to see.
Oh, I'm sorry I spoiled the pissing through the tetrahedron.
This might have been the peak moment from part 2. Otherwise, this is some kid's meme that's just the greatest shit of all time.
Good meme.
Yeah. Part 1, really a little bit slow, but Pickle's a good character. Very bad character. So, like, how Pickle works is he fights people, and when only like they fight him, otherwise he just was like on idle mode. You keep posting spoilers, dog.
This isn't real. I thought it was real.
This has to be this is real.
No,
it's gotta be a real spoiler.
I've seen the real version, but because Baki's so stupid, I thought it was real the first time.
That's his brother Jack.
Oh no, poor Jack.
Jack's the one who makes out with Pickle.
What?
So the reason why they're making out is, imagine this moment. They both charge at each other, and they're trying to eat one another by stretching their mouths out wider. And, like, imagine running into someone at full speed, and then your teeth just clashing into another person. And it's kind of that.
I think you finally broke me. I think I think I need to watch this shit.
You need to fucking watch Baki because it is the most entertaining, stupid shit ever.
It's really the tetrahedron, man. I love it. I love it so much. Okay, talk to me about something else. That's enough out of Baki.
Okay, so I didn't recommend this show to Joe. I want to make that very clear. I did not recommend this show.
I woke up this morning. It was like, hey, Joe, yeah, do you have anime watching time? I don't know, maybe. There's this show. You should watch it because I need you to get a gauge on it for me. Or something to that effect.
I like when Tyler does that to you, actually. I like when he uses you.
It's just like, okay, I would point out that I have watched 5 episodes of this show. And Tyler, I don't know why you keep sending me your fucking fetishes.
Hey, God damn it, see?
What? What happened?
What do you mean? Go on, Tyler.
No, okay. So, hold on. So it's not a goddamn fetish. I wanna say that.
Doubt.
Hold on.
Okay.
I think you got a little bit to the point where I was like, if you don't get past this point, then like
I have
it's
watched
fucking moot.
5 episodes.
Guys, what
Look,
is this?
Look, I looked up the title of the series on Wikipedia, and the first word I saw in the article was the word sexual.
Well, explain yourselves, young men.
So yeah, it's episode 6 where wait, no, it's not. When the fuck does this shit happen?
I just started episode 6, so or like it's
No.
queued up.
Okay,
next.
since you guys are gonna explain the show, it's my turn. A
It's
34-year-old.
no. So
Let me-
this is an isekai
Yes.
where a guy dies and he's like a neat shut-in, and he's a piece of shit human. Like he skips his mom's his last parents' alive funeral, and is like his siblings
last parents alive. Yeah,
Yeah.
He skips his parents' funeral.
and like
That's-
his siblings come home and find him like whacking it to like anime shit.
Mhm.
I hate. This is so trash already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It is. It is. And like they throw him out in the rain, and they're like, "You're homeless now." And then he's like, he sees some people about to get run over by a truck, and this man hasn't been out of his house in like quite a few years. And then he saves the people who are about to get run over, and then he dies. But when he dies, he gets reincarnated as a full-on baby. Like he is just entirely new, reborn. There's no like lewd goddess in between his death and reincarnation, just full up straight reincarnation. The only problem I have with this is he has his thoughts as a 34-year-old man as like a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so this is also my question that I was going to bring up to you, Joe. I'm glad you watched 5 episodes of this, because this is my question was,
Yeah.
how much sexual harassment can you put up with in manga and anime as a trope until it's too much?
It's oh my god, this show is right in that line. Let me tell you.
It is, but he doesn't really grope anybody.
The thing is,
he's
is, like,
34 and 5 at the same time.
it's very obvious from watching the show. The person who wrote this has a very specific fetish, and he somehow got greenlit because this kid listens to his parents fuck every night and comments about it every episode. That's basically how each episode starts.
This
And
is
I'm like,
weird.
oh,
But
it's so weird.
they're not perverted comments. He's just like sly handing, like, oh yeah, they're fucking at it again.
Yeah.
He's like a sports commentator.
Yeah, like he's not like,
Here
oh,
comes the
that was
pitch.
so. He's not like commenting like, oh, that was so hot last night.
They're
That's
off their game today.
Yeah.
He goes, goal!
Yeah.
Now you say that, Tyler, but the man was born again, and he immediately goes like, "Man, I want to suck on those titties," which is actually kind of appropriate because he's a baby.
Yes!
So really, I
So,
don't know
like-
how to feel about that.
Exactly. I don't know how to feel about it.
No, these are not baby urges. He's just.
But
being
they
a
are not
pervert.
baby ears.
They're
Yes,
not
true.
baby urge. True. Okay. Okay.
You know this.
There's also another scene, Tyler, where he makes a friend and they get out in the rain and take a bath, and he's a 30-year-old man child, and he's like, "You need to take off all your clothes. I'll rip them off for you."
But so this is where he also thought that child was a boy, and he's like, "Yo, we're bathing like Japanese culture. It's whatever." But they were not.
Doesn't mean I have to
boy.
like it, but they were not a boy.
Tyler,
Yeah.
And that, even then,
do you ever think that you'd be like a just straight up normal person if you didn't consume these shows? I feel like you would be.
I'm pretty normal. Like, I feel like I fit into my
Mm.
job really well. I was only slightly ostracized at theater camp, where they're the weird people. And
That's not a
apparently
good sign,
I was the
Tyler.
apparently, I was the weirdest one at theater camp. So
No,
what
he's
does
right. That
say?
does negate it. But you're like a wolf in sheep's clothing because they don't know that you watch this, but I know this.
Exactly. That's the thing. Is y'all are my friends. You have to accept this.
I don't. I wish I didn't know.
anyways, this show is trash, but I am gonna watch the end of it, which is weird to say.
That is the thing.
Oh,
It is trash, but he goes, but I'm gonna watch the end of it.
Because here's the thing, I'm so far in it already, I might as well see the end.
You are on episode 5 of a 24 episode season. There's plenty of time
Series.
to quit.
There's season 1 and season 2. It's 6 out of 11 for season 1.
Yeah, the show is still streaming like week to week.
Yeah.
When it gets like, one thing I want to ask you is, you notice there's like a lot of outside stuff happening in the show, like there's a lot of like subtext about the world around them. That is interesting to me. There's a decent world building. I wish they could get over the anime shit.
Yeah.
To it.
It's one of those things where, like, you know, if you actually just took it as a show and you didn't have this weird pervert setup premise, I'd actually kind of be entertained.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't sell as much as it does for the weird neats.
The horny
for the weirdos.
The horny. Yeah. I get it. You know, that's a good character. Like, that's a good arc you set up, Tyler, with the horny tax earlier. That was called foreshadowing.
I've been cooking.
Yeah.
So sometimes foreshadowing is fairly obvious. The show is called Jobless Reincarnation. By the way, we never actually stated what we were talking about.
Oh yeah, it's Mushoku Tensei. I feel like if anybody does know it, they knew what we were talking about. We're like, I think there's only one anime out there right now where a 5-year-old boy talks with his dad about how attractive women are. And
I mean, that's just a normal conversation that you can have with your dad.
No, it's not. Not with a 5-year-old.
Okay, maybe. But like, they're in the fantasy world where like people are supposed to get married at 12, and I'm like, people are like, oh yeah, but you know. Oh yeah,
I'm sure the author totally made it 12 because, you know, fantasy and not for other more perverse internal reasons. I'm sure he's a very upstanding person who you should trust.
What's that dragon show that people loved? Game of Thrones?
Yeah, yes.
Like, fantasy universe is fantasy universe, dog. It just happens to be a bad trope of anime.
Yeah, but sometimes you lift the curtain and you're like, no, wait, he's just a gross pervert, actually.
Yeah, it is.
But also the point of that in that show is to say, like, this is really fucked up. It's not trying to hide it at all.
No, it is not trying to hide it. They're like, you are a bad person for this, and you should feel ashamed for this. I wish that this show didn't keep like
this.
No, that's me right now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, like, I hate the main character, and you're supposed to, but then they try to make you feel bad because it's like, oh, the main character was bullied.
That was so fucking funny.
Yeah, and that's why he's afraid to leave home.
Seems like he deserved it, TBH.
He did.
Sometimes bullying is alright, I guess.
Wait, Joe, what are you talking about?
What do you mean?
Which part are you saying he was bullied at?
Oh, there's a scene where, like,
New Life.
And pre-life, I guess. There's a scene where he has a flashback to him being crucified on a gate and being beaten with bats.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
He deserved that one, apparently. I don't remember why.
I don't know, man. Like, the thing is that, like, I can get behind the premise of, like, having a second chance at a new life and get behind that premise.
Yeah, but the thing is the premise of him still having the mind thoughts of a 34-year-old.
If the character was just completely different, or like he was more of a loser, not a pervy loser, just like, oh, I just wasted my life, like I didn't go in and accomplish things, I just got run over by a truck. It's like, cool, I can get behind that. But they make it very explicit that this guy is not great at all. There's no redeeming qualities, like, from what I have seen so far.
I guess
he saves 4 people from a truck, and that's about it.
I guess the point is that if you're a lonely 34-year-old, that at least you're better than this guy, so you can follow his adventures. Like,
true. It should also be mentioned that, like, he'd never have a conversation with somebody outside of his house in 20 years, which is kind of crazy to me.
A little extreme.
Yeah. Come on, anime, you could do better in your realism.
Anyways, it's been 10 minutes on this nonsense.
I needed somebody else to shame me about how much I watched this show, just to make sure I'm still sane and not losing myself. So I appreciate it.
I always got you, dog. Never worry.
I will keep watching it week to week, but Joe's my only. I'll take Joe as my rock.
There we go. Because he's also watching it, so Joe's equally bad. He just won't admit it.
No, I just was like, what the fuck is Tyler showing me? And now it's gotten to the point where it's just like, I need to just keep watching this. It's like basically like a probation officer. Like, I need to know what you're doing with your life.
It's like my therapist playing Destiny. Like, what are you doing with your life?
That's real good. Now, can we hear something wholesome from Bradley's Lego block? This sounds awesome.
Yes. So when I was a young lad with a fat tit, I would sit at my computer in my underwear and I would play Lego games. But these aren't your average Lego games.
No, go on.
Like,
you just caught me unawares.
Every Lego game made for the past like 20 years has been the same fucking video game. Ever since they made Lego Star Wars, which is a fucking awesome video game.
Yeah, to be blunt, you love that one video game.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm saying every Lego game for the past 20 years is the same game, but they're the same game because it's an awesome formula, and I like playing them.
Yeah, it's Pokemon. Yeah.
Like they got Lego Star Wars, then they made fucking Lego Harry Potter, Lego Indiana Jones, Lego Marvel, Lego Jurassic World, Lego everything, Lego Yokai Watch. I don't know, but like before they had this formula where they take like a licensed like movie property and turn it into, you go into the levels, get the gold brick, get the studs, spin it on extra characters. Before that formula, they had more like standalone games for the computer, and some of them were really fucking weird, man, but they were really fun. I think this might have been the first Lego game ever, was Lego Island for the computer. Came out in 1997, and oh my god, it is such a fever dream. It is such a weird game. This game gave me nightmares when I was little.
Why?
Like, the people act really bizarre. Like, they'll just walk up to you and say stuff that has nothing to do with what you're doing, and then their head will like turn 360 degrees around like The Exorcist. And like, even when I was
it's like horror bugs, basically.
I think it's just like a very weirdly coded game that comes across as creepy because everything is bright and friendly, but then sometimes the NPCs act nefarious, probably not on purpose. Like, this game has a very varied soundtrack, and it's a cool soundtrack, but like, you have like a lot of lighthearted musics, like like when you're walking around, whatever. But then I was walking down this back road away from like the main village part of the island, and then all of a sudden it starts playing what sounds like FromSoft boss music.
That's
and then
awesome.
This female police officer is running towards me with a smile and like dead eyes, and I'm like, it scared the shit out of me.
Comes up.
No, it's a really weird game where like you can beat the whole thing in like an hour. I think it was mostly just there to. It's basically an island you can run around and play a bunch of different Lego themed mini games.
I remember
and shit.
this one. I remember you showing me or something at some point.
You should go around, play a bunch of Lego themed mini games and shit. The development was kind of cool. I don't think there were a lot of games that were like this amount of 3D in an open environment on computers back then, which was kind of cool for its time. But I was reading, like, as I've been replaying through these Lego games, I read about their development a little bit, and it's kind of cool how they did some stuff. Like, apparently they made a full-scale model of like the island and Lego Island and let real kids play with it in real life to decide like what should we let them do in the video game.
Huh.
And so like little boys, you know, they would make cars and like drive it around the island. So it's like, oh my god, we can make a mini game where you like make a race car and you get to race it. But then they noticed like girls, what they would do is they would want to be like, I don't want this to be a tree. I think like a batch of flowers would look good over there. So they gave you the ability to like click on the scenery and change it into different stuff around the island.
That's so cool.
That's cool.
So that's pretty cool. It's a really short game. It's hella buggy. But God, it's really weird, y'all. I'm not the only person I've heard of having nightmares from this game.
I'm with you.
I don't know what these dudes were on. But I really want to talk about the two that come after this. Lego Island was like their first video game ever. A couple years later, they came out with Lego Racers, which is badass. I mean, it's like Mario Kart. You race, you got your items and shit. It was really cool, especially back then, to be able to like build your race car out of Legos on your computer. It's like you get to build your race car and everything, which was really cool for, I guess, 1999.
Yeah,
But
pretty novel.
what I always loved about this game is how the item system works, because it's not just like you hit your random item block and you get a fucking item. What you do is you kind of like build the items where it's like there's 4 different color bricks. There's like red bricks, blue, green, and yellow. And each color is like an archetype. So you can get like a red brick for offense, blue brick for defense, green brick for like speed power-ups. But then what you do is you can grab white bricks to add on top of it, which levels it up. So like if I'm driving around and I grab a red brick, I have like a cannonball, which is like the lowest level offense item. But then if I grab another couple white bricks, I get like a laser that shoots anyone in front of me. And if I grab like another white brick, I get like 3 homing missiles that'll just blow up whoever's in front of me. Like the 3 people in front of me.
This reminds me of a certain racer, but I can't quite place it. This sounds familiar.
I will say that there's probably other racers that have done a mechanic similar to
I think
this.
maybe the Chocobo game might do something like that with the spells.
With like the spells and magicite and stuff.
I'm making that up, but anyways.
Maybe. It would be cool if they did. They should do that.
They should.
Or like, there's other power-ups where it's like if you get the base green power-up, it just puts a little rocket on the back of your car and you go a little bit faster. But if you collect a bunch of white bricks on top instead and max it out, it'll open a wormhole in front of you and it just teleports you like halfway around the track. So the items are really, really cool. The tracks are really cool. But also, holy shit, when I was replaying this a week or 2 ago, the final race, I don't think I ever beat. I was about to say I don't know how kids beat this. I don't think kids do beat this. I don't ever remember beating it, but I was like the final.
Kid make this volcano.
God, the final race, like there's one particular CPU that you have to beat to win the race, and you have to, I think, not only race completely perfectly. I think you have to race completely perfectly while denying him every single speed boost item.
I'm sorry to say, Bradley, but this sounds like cope that you're worse than the 8-year-old from the 80s.
Nah, dude. This shit's hard. No 8-year-old would ever beat it.
Okay. That's what I tell myself when I'm playing classic Mega Man games. I'm like, fucking kids in the 90s beat this. I gotta do it.
Nah. This game was really cool. They ended up making a second one, but apparently people don't like it that much. But I don't know. I was just replaying these games because it's like trip down memory lane. But the really cool one, which is extra exciting, is called Lego Rock Raiders. I think it also came out in 1999. This one is like, it's like a strategy game. It's like top down, and you're in these caves, and you have little workers, and you'll have objectives for each one, like, oh, mine this much of this resource, or like, there's workers stranded in this cavern. You have to dig a tunnel to get them and then escort them back to your base safely. And it's really cool because like you can go around the cave and like the way you give orders is like you can click on this wall and say like I want someone to drill this, I want someone to dig up this rubble over here, and I want people to pick up these crystals. And the game will like automatically divvy out tasks to your little Lego workers, which is really cool. But it also gets extra challenging later on because it's like you can teleport in more workers, but there's only so much oxygen in the cavern. So it's like the more workers you have, the faster you're running out of air, which is like effectively your time limit for the level. And then there's also stuff where it's like you build your base over the course of doing a level, and you build it with like ores and crystals and stuff you mine. But it's like you only have so many crystals, and so it's like, man, I need these crystals to power my vehicles so I can beat the level in time and not run out of air. But I can't build all the vehicles I want because then I won't have enough to power these buildings. And even then, the way you lay your buildings out matters too, because it's like you could block off a path if you put buildings in front of it so vehicles can't get through.
Seems like a decent amount of strategy for a kid's game.
Yeah, like you have to make it, or you have to like make your base dense so they all get like as much power as possible in as small a space as possible. But the other reason I was really excited to play this game again is like I started trying to play this game, and it wasn't meant to run on Windows 10. Like I was going through like 2 hours of bullshit where I was having to change all these settings and run custom scripts and stuff just to make the game not crash. And even then, it still crashed about half the time, which is when I found out that the very same week I wanted to play this game, some dude released a complete remake of the game that very same week called Manic Miners. He remade the whole thing in Unreal Engine 4. And when I say remade, I mean like all of the assets from scratch, made them again, made them look better. And then it's not even the base game anymore. They added all this extra shit on top of it where it's like before during the level you just have like stock little Lego dudes who run around, they all look the same. Now you can like customize each and every one of them. And if you beat a level, you get coins you get to spend on like new faces and outfits for your Lego dudes. And then in some screens of like the different menus, sometimes you'll see a stereo and you can like click on it and it'll play songs from those other two Lego games I mentioned, Lego Island and Lego Racers.
Cute.
But also you can just go into the options menu and there's an option to like choose different playlists. So you can choose the original playlist, which is like the old OST for the game. Or you can like, I want to mix in some Lego Racers music, which is really cool. But God, I just thought it was so wild that like the same week I wanted to play this game after I don't know how many years, some dude happened to release a complete from the ground remake, which this has to be the definitive way to play it. I've been loving it.
So did you play the real version? Like you weren't able to play the real version, right? You've been playing this.
I was playing the real version for a few days.
After
and
all
like,
your finagling with it that you got it to work.
Yeah, like I would start a new game and I would play up to like the 4th mission and then it would crash and then I would try reinstalling it and then I would play it and I'd get to like maybe the 5th mission and it would crash. And I did that over the course of a few days. And then I saw that this game got released and I was like, what the fuck? I'm just going to play the better version.
The only thing that could stop Summer of Kingdom Hearts was Lego, which one is that? Lego Cave Explorer? Cavemen?
So it's Lego Rock Raiders, and the super cool remake that these people made is called Manic Miners.
Right, no relation, of course.
No relation. Definitely not relation.
No.
It's a copyright.
We don't want. Who
My
the fuck
OC,
makes
do not
Lego?
steal.
I was gonna say Bandai. Bandai does not make Lego. Who makes Legos?
But
No, it's Take-Two.
Yes.
It's just a cool game because like Lego Island is definitely a baby game. Lego Racer is a super baby game up until that last mission. Lego Rock Raiders, like I'm impressed. It's a pretty cool strategy game. I get my ass kicked. So
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know. That's just like, I wish they still do make like original Lego games. Like they have like Lego Worlds and Lego Brick Tales, and I think they recently, like last year, came out with a new driving game.
They came out with Lego 2K Racers or something like that, which was like monetization hell. But they also just came out with like a puzzle Lego game where like you had to build something for like certain different. It was very Captain Toad.
Yeah, that's the I think that's the Brick Tales one, which that game looks really pretty.
Yeah.
They took a pretty long break. I feel like. I mean, they've had little releases now and then, but for the most part, they've just been kind of cranking out those licensed movie Lego games. I really hope they keep like making more standalone Lego stuff like this because they get creative with it.
But Bradley, I want to play Lego Star Wars for the 10th time. Like
that's the thing, though.
What happens in 2055 when I'm an old man and the only thing I can remember is Star Wars and Legos, and then they gave me a controller that lets me do both.
God, I've not only played through Lego Star Wars probably like 10 times. On each of those playthroughs, you probably play through each level about 3 times.
Sounds exhausting.
No, it's brilliant. But yeah, that's just like a little Lego corner.
Cute. That was
Welcome to my Lego corner.
I needed the wholesome Lego time. If Tyler, you can tell us about the Lightning Thief the musical, which is kind of a weird poll. Sounds kind of fun.
So it turns out this is actually a full-on Broadway musical, so that's why the like lyrics and show were kind of alright theming.
Oh.
This should have actually been a quickie, more so than anything.
You didn't tell
That's
me
fine.
to do it now.
Yeah, I goofed. We went up to see some local theater. I'm trying to engage more with my city. And it's like you don't ever go to theater unless you know somebody. Like that's kind of the deal. I feel like when it comes to theater.
Yeah, I know Willer.
Yeah, like you would never go blindly watch a show where you don't know anybody. That'd be blasphemy.
Joe, I allow you to go to theater. Is that what you want to hear? you can go there.
It was very enjoyable, and that's what I've been taught to say when it comes to theater.
Interesting.
It was an enjoyable show. The people who were in it were actually pretty talented. Like you could tell they had some chops on them. But the obviously shoestring budget. It is like local theater. You should have no expectations.
Was it an adaptation of the first book or what?
Yeah, it's purely the first book. It had some nice reminders in there for me, which I like completely forgotten about this book. So I was like, damn, this is a good recap. This is more entertaining than Wikipedia.
Gonna reread that book soon. So it seems like a good time.
Yeah, there was this asshole who's like this is the only rude thing I'm gonna say. There's this fucking guy who sat right behind us.
Oh, okay.
And he was just commenting the entire show like it was like an engagement show where like the audience gets to participate with the people on stage.
Yikes.
And I'm
A
like,
heckler?
No. He was be like, "Yeah, slay," or
No.
like, "Holy shit!" Like, yes.
Holy shit, he's the lightning thief.
Yeah, like he'd be like,
Luke.
He just kept doing this, and I'm like, it is very apparent that you were not cast in this show. Now, please kindly shut the fuck up so other people can enjoy it. The guy kind of ruined it for us. We left during the intermission. Oof. I wasn't totally down to leave, but I also didn't want to sit in front of that. Like, and it's a local show. Like, it's supposed to be casual. I get that.
That's a little too casual.
Shut the fuck up. Like,
well, there definitely shows that like are more like audience interactable.
It was not a show where the people on stage were interacting with the audience in any way. Like,
Bro's out here trying to make a Rocky Horror Picture Show night when it's...
Yeah.
That dude's one of our subscribers, and he's going to hear this and be like, oh,
no,
damn
he'll
it.
never hear it.
Do better, bud. I believe.
Sorry, blood.
As a local show, like, I would go see it again if it was the same cast but a different director. There's this guy who, like, started a production company or theater company, and so like he's the director of all the shows, and I am now like adamantly I would not go to anything else with that label on it because I don't like this guy because he makes very freshman mistakes and amateur mistakes.
Enjoyable mistakes. It's all enjoyable.
It's
follow the script.
Yeah, like this is a man who obviously has tried to do a lot of theater, but he still has a lot of amateur hour on him. And I think it's about like the guy obviously has issues and like that's why he's a director and everything, but it's like he made the show about him, which when you're directing a show, it should never be about you, even if you're the director. And if you're making a show about you as the director, even when you're not on stage, like that's an issue. And like I can like from his like opening statements alone, I could be like, yeah, this is gonna be a bad show because I don't like you.
Damn.
Yeah.
This is the one harsh thing I'm gonna say. He says.
Yeah. Sorry. All the actors and actresses in it were really talented. I would go see them in other shit. Not under that guy though. They could sing, they could dance, but in like they had a very simple set, and it was just like one piece of scaffolding. I was like, how are they going to use this one piece of scaffolding? And then they used it pretty well. I was like, all right, I'm not mad about this.
Nice.
I forgot about the part in the Percy Jackson book where they do like the Capture the Flag series.
Yeah.
If y'all remember that one.
I do.
Yes.
And, they're like, yeah, we're going to kill each other. And I was like, what? I forgot about this shit. Like, they're actually trying to kill each other.
They're just hyping themselves up. Kyron would never.
The Half-Blood in Camp Half-Blood is because half your blood is drained by the end of the fight.
Yeah.
It goes into the steaks they eat.
Like, there's like they do the bathroom scene too. It was not a terrible show. If you ever see it around, it could probably be very entertaining and like more off-Broadway scenarios. It probably just depends on who the director is.
Just
and
watch
where
out
it's being
for
shown at.
that guy.
Yeah, watch out for that guy. Jesus.
That dude.
Yeah, you'll know him when you see him.
No, you'll know him when you hear him. Jesus. That's it. I'm gonna keep it short for me. I've talked a lot.
So, I have been playing Yakuza, trying to finally finish my, what is it, 5-year catch-up to Yakuza plan that has been happening.
Yeah. You're close. You've almost done it.
I'm beyond close. So, I had 2 games left on the list, Yakuza 5 and Yakuza 6. I finished Yakuza 5 recently. Actually finished it right... Well, it's funny. I had to go leave to drive down to Tyler's, like, as I reached the final boss, and I was, like, literally 2 text boxes away from peak fiction. So I come back, like, the Sunday, and I, like, take it easy for a little bit, then I jump back on, and I'm just suddenly sucked into, like, one of the greatest final fights in the series. So that was pretty cool.
That's neat.
Yakuza 5, this game is big. They went ham with this game. So, Yakuza 4 had 4 protagonists and a super complex plot that kind of lost steam near the end. Yakuza 5 said, okay, that was hard to manage. Fuck that, let's do 5. Let's make it even harder by doing 5 protagonists and making all of their chapters super long and giving them all unique minigames, such as Kiryu's now a taxi driver. So you have to do two type of taxi minigames. One, you have to drive following the laws of the road. So you have to just, like, simulate driving well, which is actually really fun. And the other is, there's a gang of taxi hunting lunatics on the street, so you have to, like, fight them in race combat. So you also just, like, race your taxi and fight them. Saejima gets a way too in-depth hunting minigame with all sorts of progression systems and a gun and first-person aiming that doesn't fit anything in the game. The character...
I just like that sense of, like, it has all these progression systems and a gun.
And
like,
a gun. It's weird. I don't know. And then Kiryu's daughter Haruka is playable for the first time. She is a walking minigame section. She is an idol, so you get, like, 3 variations of rhythm games to do for, like, a whole part. One of the main characters is wrapped into that storyline. He doesn't get any new minigames, but he can also dance, so you could just walk around the street and dance with a loan shark, which is fun. And then the last character is a disgraced baseball player, so he has, like, a thing where he goes to the batting cages and has, like, a progressing ladder of people trying to challenge him in the batting cages. So, like, they go really hard on the side content for each character. The stories are really intense. It was a really good one. This is one of my favorite Yakuza games. It's probably... I think I placed it 5th in the list, which is good because the 4 above it are all very, very good. So this one is just, like, a little bit older. It's the last one before Zero came out, and Zero's a life-changing game that everyone should play, and you guys still don't have your tickets to heaven yet by not playing it. So you should get on that before you die. But yeah, like, it's a little bit more dated than the one I've been playing next, which is 6. But just to wrap up 5, really good ending. Like, story was like solid, but then, like, the last stretch is super good and ties in all the stories really well. The themes nearly made me cry with the last cutscene. It's such a good, like, father-son story. Yakuza 6 is the final game of the main character for, like, the first 6 Yakuzas. Spoiler alert, it's not the final. That was the biggest lying, like, advertisements of all time because he's in the next game coming out. He's actually in the next 2 games coming out. So, last game, my ass. But it is the wrap-up to him, like, his arc as, like, a dude trying to escape the Yakuza lifestyle while was still upholding the traditions and, like, his family still getting involved in it and whatnot. This is one of the fastest I've ever played a Yakuza game. I'm on chapter 12 out of 13, almost done with chapter 12.
Shit.
I finished 5, like, again, when we was it last week that we came back from Tyler? So I finished. Yeah. I basically am gonna finish this game if I finish it tonight in a little bit over a week, and I've been doing some of the mechanic or side
It
content.
took you a while, so like I'll creep on Willer whenever like I slide into PlayStation. I'll be like, Willer's playing.
Get
And,
away.
like, I just noticed that you've been playing Yakuza 5 for like at least a month, I think.
Yeah, that game's
or
long
something
as
like that.
shit. Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't play it too much per session. This one, I'm like, because yesterday I had the day off. I did 6 chapters yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, it was just so I was just shocked because I thought you just started Yakuza 6. It was going to take you until the end of the year, maybe.
No, I might finish.
Cool.
If not tonight, then maybe then Thursday at the latest. So we're getting there. And this is nice because I've been trying to catch up these games since I played 0 in 2017. So it's like I finally got to the point where now I can play any game that comes out as they release without having to worry about spoilers, because the overarching storyline and the character progression of these games is really good. And the later games are even better. Like 6 is so good. It's so pretty. It is unfortunately the first game they made in like their current like super nice engine. So it runs at 30 to this day, and that took some adjustment, but I got used to it. This is a story about Kiryu's daughter gets in a hit and run, and he was in prison for 3 years for reasons. So that is, I believe, either 13 or 18 years of the Yakuza storyline where Kiryu has been in prison. So this dude's has gone through it.
Between all the games, not between those two games.
He's spent some time in the slammer for reasons, and. While he was out, Haruka has a son. She gets in a coma. He needs to figure out who the son's dad is. That is a wild goose chase. The answer is insane. The Chinese mafia is involved. It is that would be so fucked. Don't say that. And then it's a very good story so far about fathers and sons, which is kind of weird because the impetus of the story is like a mother and daughter. So we'll see if it like wraps around. But basically every other character has some sort of father-son dynamic. And Kiryu's already he owns an orphanage, so he's already been dad mode throughout the series. So he just fits right in. So it's great. I can't wait to finish this so I can play the new one coming out as it releases, and that one unfortunately has Kiryu as the protagonist, but I'm gonna give it a chance. They definitely lied, but we'll see if they got something good cooking up. But yeah,
and you've already played 7, so like
yes, I jumped to 7 like a year or two ago because it was a reset. That one also had spoiler alert Kiryu, and I was like, okay, at least it was a minor role. He's a boss, and because he doesn't hit women, you can just stack your party up with all the female characters you can find, and then
that's hilarious.
And then just defend with the one guy that you have left. The whole
stodgy looking ass.
Yeah, exactly. I just exploited him.
Actually, I think you could do party table kick as Kiryu when I was playing 0 back.
You can do party table kick as Majima.
Oh, okay, that's yeah.
And then as Yagami from the Judgment Games, which are my favorite as a bunches. So yeah, that'll end my journey pretty soon. So I'm very excited. Hopefully 6 doesn't fumble the ending, but I hear the ending is really emotional and good. So I think I'm just it's probably going to be better than 5. So that'll be my new number 5 game after that. And I'm going to pass it on, and I'm really excited about this next one. Bradley, there's a big event that's going to happen pretty soon. It's going to change the world.
And it happened. But look, all right.
Tell us about the 3-body problem. Yeah,
I read the 3-body problem. It is a Chinese science fiction novel that came out in 2014, and it's one I was really excited to read. It's part of a trilogy. The trilogy itself is called Remembrance of Earth's Past, but I've also heard it called the Dark Forest trilogy. And this is like a sci-fi series that people swear by. It's relatively new. And God, it was really fucking cool. But I have some problems with the book. I'm not gonna pretend I don't.
Lay it on me.
Now, the big reason I started reading the book, it seemed, and I've already started reading the second, and it seems like most of the things that attracted me to the series was always stuff that was going to be in the second book. Which is called The Dark Forest, which is, out of the 3, that's the one I always hear the most about. Now, I think on our last podcast, Joe was talking about a book where he was like, I feel like this book exists to be a prequel to the book after.
Yeah, that's the Chinese books he was talking about earlier.
Yeah, the Dandelion Dynasty. I'm listening to the second one right now.
And that's how I feel about the 3-body problem, because it just kind of ended. And I noticed after it ended that the 2 books that come after it are substantially longer. Because I think I even mentioned 3-body problem wasn't that long of a book.
Yeah, it just took you a while to get through.
So I really do, like, I remember saying my gripe while I was reading it was, like, they keep talking about, like, oh, some big thing's going to happen, some big thing's going to happen, it's going to be horrible, it's going to happen any day now, and when it does, you're not going to be ready. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, when is it going to happen? And it did happen, but it happened, like, near the very end. And I think it's because I think the 3-body problem is meant to be, like, a setup for the 2 books that come after it, which, you know, it could put a lot of people off. And it put me off a little bit.
Are you going to do the second?
I've already started. I'm already a few hours into it, and I'm gonna keep going. But I need it to get its shit together a little bit. Like, one thing so the reason I decided to start reading this book and what people usually sell it as is IRL. There's something called the Fermi paradox, which, if you haven't heard of it, it's like if the universe is so big and there's so many chances for life to develop, why don't we see aliens out there? And one possible solution to the Fermi paradox, which has been named after this book series, is called the Dark Forest solution. And the idea here is that there are aliens everywhere. The reason we don't see any aliens out there is because any civilization that makes itself known gets killed by other alien civilizations. It looks quiet out there because only quiet civilizations continue to live. Which I was like, damn, that's kind of wild.
I don't know, because, okay, so the idea here is that if someone announces themselves, like, is there another race that goes after people who announce themselves, or does that mean that it always breaks out into war and one erases the other? Okay.
I think one thing this book does really well is, like, taking Earth geopolitics and creating, like, an analog for them within the universe. Because you can kind of think about, like, a nuclear first strike. It's like, oh, when it comes to nuclear war, it's like everyone loses, but it's like whoever strikes first greatly has the advantage. And I think the idea within galactic war is, you know, galaxies are really fucking far away, and, like, politics changes all the time. And so when civilizations exist on the span of thousands of years, it's like, yeah, the civilization might be friendly now, but you don't know what they're going to be like in 100 years from now. You don't know if they're going to develop technology faster than you. So it's like, maybe the smartest move is just to eliminate any other civilizations before they get a chance to do anything. Or, like, what if you even send a fleet to go eliminate a civilization, but it's going to take 2,000 years to get there, and by the time your fleet's halfway there, they've completely lapped you technologically, and your home planet has already been destroyed. So, I don't know. That's kind of what attracted me to the series, is, like, these ideas of, like, I don't know, galactic war. But yeah. I think this is much more hard sci-fi. It's like, how do we think this would play out in real life if we did run into aliens and we did need to communicate with them, and maybe we were going to have war with them? What would the leaders of this country do? What would the leaders of this country do? But aside from alien-related stuff, I think what this story does the best is it uses aliens as a way to, like, look at humanity itself. Like, how do we want to present ourselves to the world? So this book, it opens up during the Chinese Cultural Revolution, which I think was in the 60s, which, if someone is going to read this book, I would highly recommend at least, like, looking through the Wikipedia page for the Chinese Cultural Revolution, because it's important throughout the entire book.
Doing the homework a little bit.
But that's in the 60s, and, you know, communism, capitalism, they're button heads, and so, you know, maybe America wants to shoot a message out into space in case there's any aliens listening out there, and it's like, hi, we're America, and this is us, and this is what we're about. We hope we'll have good relations between humans and whoever you are. And then, maybe some communist countries are like, well, hold up, if they hear from America first, we don't want America to monopolize communications with aliens, like, because then, I don't know, what if the aliens like them best and they get technology and they can rule the world? So then other countries start shooting messages out into space. And then, the messages they send out are like, the messages they send out are like, you may have received a message from an imperialist evil superpower who wants to grind the workers of our world under their boot. Don't listen to them, listen to us. And then, so they might send that message out, and then other people are like, I'm worried if we send that message out, even if we're right and capitalist America is scum, I'm worried they're gonna kind of think we're irritable assholes if that's the first message they get from us. So it's like a lot of it is like, if we did meet another civilization, how would we want to present ourselves? But also, whenever the idea of war with aliens comes up, it's like, how do we handle this? Because there are people in the world who are like, well, I kind of hate humanity. I think humanity should die. I don't think we're that great. And then there's obviously the people who are like, what the fuck? No, humanity's awesome. We're going to do everything we can to save it. And so you might have people actively fighting for the betterment of humanity, and you have people actively fighting to sabotage humanity, which is really wild. And you get into some really cool conversations in the book about this problem, where there's a moment where you have like a bunch of intellectuals sitting around a table, like high-level programmers and CEOs and scientists and shit, and they're talking about like colonization on Earth, and they're talking about like, one of them is like, well, it's horrible what happened to the Aztecs when, South America got colonized, but think about it, it's like they would regularly pillage and destroy other peoples around them, and they would engage in human sacrifice. It's like, yeah, if they never got colonized, they might have eventually grown and taken over that whole continent, but like, would we want a whole continent that engages in human sacrifice? And other people are like, you don't know that would have happened. It's like, how dare you? Like, colonization was still terrible. And then they then take this argument among themselves and apply it to like the higher level, like everything we know about this other alien society we've communicated with, makes it seem like humans are kind of worse, and maybe we should let them come take over. And I don't know.
Is the book structured such that it'll take the Earth argument and then like, I don't know, there's no main character, right? So like, will it take the Earth argument and then try to apply it to the space argument like directly, like it'll juxtapose the two right back to, or like will it like subtly do
Pretty
it?
Pretty much. Okay. Like sometimes characters will do it like in the exact same conversation.
Gotcha.
But man, you mentioned something about the book not having a main character, and like there's one or two characters that it spends most of its time focusing on, but yeah, I don't know if there's like a main character. Which
wasn't there some scientist that's like a big part of the book? I think I remember you saying that like the first time we talked about it.
Yeah, there's like, I mean, oh my god, dude, this book is so many fucking scientists, but like it mostly follows like a handful of 2 or 3 scientists. But here's the thing, a book not having a main character is not a downside for me, because a lot of books I really, really like don't have main characters necessarily. Like, one of my favorite web serials called Fine Structure, that book, almost every single chapter jumps to a completely different character in a different time period. Like it's this character in the 1960s, and then it's this character in the year 10,000, and then it's this character in the year 2015.
I might have been thinking of that book actually when I just said what I said.
Like, I mean, this book kind of reminds me of that book in that regard, though. That book, there were main characters, like there's main characters in this book and that book. I think my problem with the 3-body problem and also the sequel so far is that I don't always know which characters I'm supposed to remember, because maybe a character is going to be recurring for the rest of the book,
but you don't know.
But it's like I'll get introduced to them, and then the next time I see them is 5 chapters from now, and I'm like, okay, maybe they just show up again just this once, and then they show up again like another 5 chapters from then, and then after that point they're a main character in the story, but by that point I'm like, I didn't know I was supposed to remember them.
This is the same complaint or issue you had with Attack on Titan when you were first watching it. Do you remember that, Bradley? Because of the
I
way
think
that
so.
like when
But-
they were killing people off, and I had the same thing too. It was
That's
just like,
fair. Yeah.
yeah, it's like I don't know who I should be like actually be emphasizing with because everyone gets fucking chomped in the first 2 episodes.
Not to
So
like
like, do I?
It's not like till the end of season 1 that you have. Okay, I see the crew now. I see who the whole crew is.
And even then, you're like, maybe because. But yeah,
And like here's one thing I never thought I would complain about in a book is over explaining the science in it. Because normally I like that kind of thing. Because this book, it's hard sci-fi. It tries to stay. I feel like it tries to stay as grounded as it possibly can while also having aliens who are more advanced than us. Like if there's something that does have a scientific explanation, they will go into depth on it. And usually I like that kind of things in books, but this one, even I was like, okay, dude, we get it. Like,
Damn.
you don't have to explain the whole thing. And God, like, I feel terrible saying anything bad about this book because it is really fucking cool. I just wish like a couple things were different. And also, like, I've heard this touted as like one of the greatest sci-fi series of our generation. People swear by this book so hard, and I think they should, because the stuff it does really well. Maybe I'm having a hard time adjusting. This is the first, like, I think before one of our other podcasts, I was mentioning to you guys, like, a lot of people, I think in the US have been getting more into Chinese fiction because, you know, they have maybe different writing styles or different types of narrative arcs or different moral assumptions that you might not get in like Western literature. But so this was like one of my first big Chinese novel series I was going through. So I don't know if some of the complaints I have are just like adjusting to a different storytelling style. It's good, but I'm not gonna recommend it yet. I'm gonna keep going through the second one.
Okay, because I wanted to end with a question. It depends. If you think this would be a good book for later, I kind of want you to spoil what the big scary event that I'm not prepared for. I want to know.
The big scary event is aliens.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, Bradley, to interject, because I know we were talking about this like last podcast, but like about Chinese literature and culture and writing. I think I highly recommend the series I've been reading. It's not sci-fi;
Yeah.
It's very fantasy. I think you would really enjoy it, and I think it has a little bit of that problem you mentioned before about like how you don't know sometimes like if I should be remembering this character. But I think it does it in a much better light because you're following events and how they're all like connected to each other in some way. And there are some characters that are very clearly like this is just for this guy for this one chapter and that's it. But that name is going to resonate through the rest of the series. But that's a shame that it's not living up to your potential. Sorry to hear that, bud, because it sounds great, but the way the person writes can also kill the way a story goes, unfortunately.
That's the thing. There are some media franchises like there's shit like Breaking Bad and The Good Place, right? Where there are things
Yeah.
I sat on for years, and I'm like, I know as soon as I start this thing, I'm gonna love it. And then when I eventually started them, I loved them and binged the whole thing, and I was like, that was God tier.
Yeah.
This was one of the first times where I had a thing where like every single thing I've heard about it makes me think I'm gonna love the shit out of this, and then I was like, I only kind of liked it.
I'm
Damn.
trying to think of my equivalent because that's harsh. You're definitely that kind of person. Like you sit on stuff, so you are bound to miss eventually.
Bound to miss eventually, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep going with the Dark Forest because, like, I don't know. Like I said, out of these three, the second one, most of the cool stuff I have heard of that attracted me to this series is supposed to come from this book.
Let's
Yeah.
hope it picks up then. I did have a random question for you, Bradley. Are you gonna check out Pikmin 4?
Man, I wasn't planning to, but here's the thing. Apparently, like,
This book sucks, so I am.
I mean, yeah, shit, man. No, apparently a couple weeks after Pikmin 4 came out, it was still the best-selling title in Japan.
I heard they
Yeah.
cooked. I heard it was good.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a Pikmin guy. I need to beat 3 one day.
I
I also heard their week 1 sales were more than the week 1 sales of Pikmin 1 through 3 combined.
I
holy
believe
shit.
it. I mean,
Well, actually, I can believe that because
I can't believe that. It's on Switch and the other ones were
Yeah.
well,
not on the
that's
Switch.
also a series that's just like so weird in concept.
And people are
right?
like, these Pikmin fans are so fucking annoying. Fine, I'll check it out. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
that's the vibe.
Yeah. I've never played a Pikmin game. I
Tyler-
feel like I would
Tyler likes
really like
Pikmin
them.
too, right?
I like Pikmin as well. I didn't play, so I only played the first one.
Mhm.
So I'm like a Pikmin.
Yeah.
What's it called? Faker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a real Pikmin fan.
Yeah.
You're not a
Neither-
pick boy.
Well, neither is Bradley, clearly. So.
I loved the first one, and apparently they're all better after that, which I absolutely believe. Because the first one was like a time limit for the entire fucking game. And
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
had to speed run that shit.
That's what's
it's
wild
like-
is like you can lose the game.
Oh,
Like-
that's so cool to me.
It is so cool.
It wasn't cool for the children.
Yeah, it's like, can you imagine being this stressed when you're 10 years old? You're
That's
like,
your
no.
first taste of adulthood.
Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
I can't get out a month ahead of time. I don't even know what Wednesday is.
That's
No.
the pay your rent equivalent.
Agreed. Like, adult Joel now would be like, oh, give me that juice.
This is easy
Baby-
compared to what I'm dealing with.
Yeah. Baby Joe would be like, this is fucking bullshit. I just want to play Star Fox.
Yeah,
I guess you just don't have a burning interest to check out the other ones, Tyler, which is fair.
I do like.
It's not burning, clearly. It's a moderate interest.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about Nintendo games and burning. Nintendo games are always full price.
True.
Always.
Which is why
True.
I've started using their like buy two system to get like to get a voucher because they're like $10 cheaper if you do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get those gold coins too that you can cash in.
Yeah, I've actually used a lot of those gold coins over the years. Good
Mhm.
system.
Same.
No, I don't think I beat games anymore.
No,
And that's
this,
who I am as a person.
this is clear. I don't know the
We've
what if-
known this since Persona 5.
How's Octopath 2 going? Who knows?
I quit Octopath 2, man.
I didn't know it was a dead ass quit.
Uh,
No, this isn't about you. No, it's not. It's about Baldur's Gate 3. Let's talk about that.
yeah.
It's about Baldur's Gate 3?
I
Oh.
mean, it's about Baldur's Gate
Which
3.
I
Man.
believe Bradley has also played, maybe?
Correct.
Bradley has been playing with his lovely, lovely wife.
Yeah, we just got. I think we just got to Act 2.
Are y'all... Where are y'all?
We're at this place where yeah, Moonrise Towers.
Yeah, y'all are on that too.
Thanks, Emily.
Yeah, thank you, Emily. Baldur's Gate 3. Okay, so Baldur's Gate 3. I'm pretty sure like anyone listening to the internet right now knows what Baldur's Gate 3 is. This is mainly just me talking to Willer about what's up. I think.
Yeah, I don't know much about this. I just know it's
So-
Horny. I know Shadowheart
Yeah.
is for me.
Love that girl. So Baldur's Gate 3 is made by Larian Studios. They're the same studios that did Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 and other Divinity games no one cares about because they're not CRPGs. So I should mention that I have not played any of the other Baldur's Gate games. And you don't need to play the other Baldur's Gate games. Like there's some Easter eggs in there for you if you've played them before, but you don't need to go and play any prior knowledge with them.
Yeah, you ain't need nothing. I did
Yeah.
play Baldur's Gate 2 because I think my brother rented it when I was middle school, but
Yeah, but so this is it's a sequel to a very traditional one of the original computer RPG games, and I bought the early access of the game way back when I think within the first year. I played it for about 10 hours, and I was like, okay, this is pretty close to Divinity. It's got some 5e stuff going on. There's they don't have all the classes. I was kind of like, this is neat. It's not really impressing me. I'm like, whatever. And I turned the game off, and they only didn't even have Act 1 finish yet, and I did not touch it for the 4 or 5 years until the day it got released. And went I bought this game so many years ago. I guess I should boot it up. And immediately upon playing like the first 5 minutes, everything felt so different and so right. Um, when I played that game, like it just was like immediately like everything like kind of like click. You ever like play a game and things just start clicking into place for you, where you're just like
Yeah.
I'm feeling like the groove and like I feel one with like how everything is going here. That was me when I booted up Baldur's Gate 3 when it came out officially. They took a lot of community feedback and they took a lot of community feedback and put it into the game. It really like took feedback from people playing Dungeons and Dragons because it's based off of the 5th edition system, and they incorporated a lot of things that players like to do in their games.
I heard this is more D&D than Divinity, because Divinity feels more like an RPG. This, I think you roll dice in this, like for real.
Oh, dude, like I think they even use like the same terminology as D&D.
It's a near 1-to-1 of the 5th edition tabletop RPG system. So like if like a lot of the stuff that you play in like regular D&D is in this game, and I think that's really cool because like I haven't had a game in a long time, or I can't even remember the last time. It might have been a Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, where like I feel like my party dynamic really matters. Like not even just combat sense, but like how I'm exploring the world, because you can have like a wholly kit out like heavy armor, very like just strong dudes in your army, but you're missing out on the stealth and the wizard side and the magic side of things. So it's like, there's this locked door. How do we get past this? Well, we can break down the door, but that's going to alert everybody to what we're doing. We don't have a guy that lockpicks it. We need to bring the lockpick person to come in and unlock this door, and then potentially sneak around and see what else is in there. And they have like their own gimmicks that they use both inside and out of battle that I think is really neat. So like it feels like you're constantly playing the game, which is weird to say. It's like you are never like disengaged from a gaming mechanic, I think, throughout the entirety of the game. You're always like doing something. There's always something being referenced to your character and your stat sheet. And like you walk into a bog and your characters roll perception checks to see if they can point out any of the traps or any other weird things that might be around the area that's based off their stats. Or like they might be like sneaking around and they're rolling stealth when they come into vision cones to see if they can hide away from people. And so like it feels like it's like the feeling of like this tactical nature of D&D that like I really like very, very well. And that's the other thing too, is that like the game is kind of hard. I don't know how y'all been doing, Bradley, but like it's got some challenging gimmicks to it every once in a while.
Here's the thing: are you playing on standard difficulty or tactician?
I'm playing on standard. I played on standard for my first playthrough. I'm playing on tactician on my second playthrough.
It feels. I think they have pretty well tuned difficulty.
I do too.
Also in Divinity, the vibe I had is like the standard difficulty is like medium hard. Like there are some gimme fights, but in general, you're actually going to have to think about what you're doing if you want to win a fight. And then tactician difficulty in Divinity is like, if you're not getting every conceivable advantage, you're not going to fucking win. And that's how this one feels. The standard is like, there are some gimme fights, and then there are some fights where we're like, okay, we're going to have to roll this back and like, really think about what we're doing here.
And it's so good because like you could have like a boss battle encounter, like, so like the goblin camp at the beginning. That's like your first like major kind of dungeon area. But like that fight doesn't start when you get into combat. It starts when you enter the camp and you think to yourself like, okay, how am I going to tackle this situation? Because you could just go through and just start fucking killing goblins. Tell you right now, that's not going to fly well because you're going to run out of resources. You're going to just like get overwhelmed by the number of actions there are against you. And like it's not the smartest thing in the world to do. You can do it if you plan out your strategy, but like it's just gonna take forever.
Dude, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That has really impressed me about this game. Mm-hmm. There are some creative ass boss fights where it's like it's not just your skills versus the boss's skills. It's like you have to make this boss stand. You have to like coax the boss into this part of the arena so he gets hit by this environmental effect, which puts this debuff on him. And it's like, oh, it's so cool.
Yeah. And then like you're also using the environment around you too, because like a big portion of the game is like they use a lot of verticality in the game. So like if you fall from like a high space, you're going to take damage or you're going to die. And you as a player can use that a lot, but the enemy also use that so much more too. Like I can't count the number of times where like I move myself and I completely forgot there's a cliff behind me, and the guy just moves around and just shoves me off the cliff and kills me. It's kind of wild. But it's great. Like it hits like I think that perfect measure of difficulty that I want in the game. And it's really funny too, because I have always thought, and I still hold this belief, that a lot of dungeon masters just don't know how to properly run a combat in Dungeons and Dragons. And like looking on the forums now, it's become even more apparent because they just don't realize how important these small little rule sets are. Like for example, a lot of spells require verbal components for you to like you have to like say the spell, for example. Well, if you cast silence in an area or you just like gag somebody, they can't cast spells. So some of the fights later on have people that just silence an area, and now your wizard has to deal with like, I can't cast a spell while I'm here. I have to move, but if I move, I'm going to get hit, or I'm going to go into danger, or I don't have a place to move.
And how good is the game at detecting these little micro rules?
Like great. It's great when you have a dungeon master who doesn't have to keep track of everything. It just takes care of itself. But
Pretty
like,
airtight.
Nice.
Yeah, like you feel like you're playing on an even battlefield rule wise every single fight that you go into. Like it doesn't feel like the game is ever cheating you whatsoever when it comes to an encounter that you go into.
I've gone into encounters and been surprised at the enemies we're fighting, but I haven't gone into an encounter and been like, this is bullshit. You know?
Yeah, like this is like it doesn't feel like it was optimized or tuned, or like it feels like there was some really care taking the place about like where these encounters are set, how you deal with them, and like just like like how you approach them. Like so, Bradley, did y'all go into the Underdark in y'all's playthrough?
Yes, which was cool. That area was way bigger than we thought it was going to be.
Oh yeah, I went in there. I was like, oh, this must be Act 2. I'm like, this is still Act 1.
No, I was like, this is like Tears of the Kingdom. Like, there's an entire second world under the main world. Holy shit.
So that fortress area, Bradley, I was able to like deceive my way in there, and so when I got to the point, it's like, okay, I have to like, you have to like save this guy from like a gassed up room, basically. But as soon as you free him, he's like, these guys are imposters, kill them all. So like the whole place aggroes you. I'm like, well, how the fuck am I gonna take care of this? So I just went around and like basically just like convince people to like walk in certain directions and like knock them out in closets and shove them in broom closets for that fight leading up to it, which was a lot of fun and just required a lot of creative thinking that I think is really cool in an RPG like this. The other thing about this game is the acting in this game is weirdly phenomenal. Like it's
not only that, I hear the character writing is like super good.
Oh man, because Divinity had companions too, but the companions in this game feel like in Divinity when I had a companion, to me the companions were just there to fill an empty team slot.
They were stats.
In this game, the companions like are the game.
And I think a big part of that too is that like in Divinity 2, they pretty much were like, here's this character, and then you can make him whatever you want, but this is like their backstory, whatever. They felt very much like, I found you at this point in time, I need you to fill this role for me, and it feels very disconnected. Whereas like here, all the characters are like very closely associated with their class. Like Shadowheart's like whole backstory and her whole story arc only exists because she's a cleric, and it's so important that she's a cleric that like you can't like imagine her being another like different class.
That feels pretty JRPG at that point, which I'm a big fan of, especially like some of those Final Fantasies where the characters, you can't change the class, so they have a moveset and backstory that kind of fits their role. So I like that.
But man, so the character acting is fantastic, and not just for the companions. Like one thing that's really cool about this, and I'm going to compare this game over and over to Divinity because same studio, almost same game.
Yeah,
you know, in Divinity, pretty much every dialogue in the game is like a dialogue window pops up. Here's the text, and then if they're an important character, maybe they'll have spoken audio dialogue. In this game, literally every single person you can talk to like it brings up its own custom cutscene. It's fully voice acted. So like anybody you talk to, like you're in there.
And like everyone has like a distinct voice too. Like you talk to somebody, and like I don't think I heard a single like voice again. Like each person I talked to was distinctly different, and like that's not possible. Like that they have multiple voice actors doing the same roles, but it's just like it's so immersive and like that you talk to people and they have this little story and little background. Not everyone's really fleshed out, but you could talk to somebody. They're like, oh, I'm the cabbage person. I sell cabbages and like this is what I do, and like my family's lived here. Like, oh, okay, neat. And then you kind of moved on. Yeah, I think that's actually a side quest. Is like a cabbage cart gets blown up and you have to find the person that did it. But even then, like it's just the acting is so good and the motion capture too. Like there are just nuanced facial like things happening that you just emphasize and like escalates like a scene.
Those are some crazy character models. I see pictures of the characters all the time, and I'm always impressed at the little nuances of their faces.
Yeah, and like I don't know if you've been talking to a lot to Asterion, Bradley, but like Astarion's like the one character that ever in a video game or any story that I went like, you know what? I think you're fully deserved of the revenge you're about to take here. I'm not going to stop.
Is that the hot white-haired boy that's on the cover? Like everyone's favorite character? Okay.
Oh, dude, that's who Emmy's romancing. And
I was gonna ask if people are trying to fuck.
Here's the thing: she's romancing Astarion. I don't know if I'm gonna romance him yet. My companion has been Gale. Because Gale's like I'm a good boy. He's like the I'm a good boy companion. Because like there's a lot of edgy ones.
Oh, let's go,
Bradley.
No, Joe, I'm ready for the dark backstory.
I got to an ending and I was like, what the fuck?
Shush, Joe.
No, but like I think that's the thing is that even characters that I thought that I would be like, you're not the characters that I really like. I immediately was just like, you're interesting enough for me that I want to keep talking to you. Even when you're not in my party all the time, I want to come back and just talk to you and just see what you have to say.
So, about the romance, I heard that everyone's so horny because of a bug.
That got solved.
So is everyone less horny now? Because not saying I would, but maybe if I picked up this game, I'd want to work for it a little bit than just have like them pussy out walking towards me.
Here's some. Those early adopters paid the horny tax. That's what they got.
Oh shit! It comes back.
Willer confirming he likes to be edged.
No, I just like a little bit of a challenge sometimes. Okay.
He likes to hunt.
Here's something I really like about the romances of this game. Everyone's romances are dynamically different. So like. For example, Shadowheart is kind of more of the classic, like you're building up, you have a lot of conversations, and you need to like flirt and get to know a little bit more.
She's the only one I know because she's pretty. But there's also some red demon chick that I heard is a really good character.
Karlach is my bro. Karlach is so cool.
Karlach's great.
She's great. So Shadowheart, you kind of have to build up to her, and like she has to learn to trust you. Like it's very much more of like classic relationship. Whereas some other characters are a lot more forward and are just like, you know what, we just finished this big fight, let's fuck. And then you kind of go from there. Like they have different.
Oh, that's cool though. I like that. Like starting from that starting point is nice and novel and makes sense.
And it's so like they feel like people. Like it's not like, oh, here's your first interaction, here's the second interaction, yada yada yada. It's like, no, everyone has a different path to get to where you want to this ultimate ending of like a romance or like a sustained relationship. That's really, really good. And I was like, oh, cool. And some of them are kind of up to doing the whole polyamory kind of thing too that you might be able to do. So it's
I get to do my persona runs in the game.
Yeah. And you don't get punished for it. But I will say it is still a little bit more hornier than most. I think they were just afraid that like people would miss out on that dialogue. People would really enjoy it.
Fair. I mean, I think it literally sold the game. Like it's why it is what it is.
But I think also it's so that it's very clear, like, oh no, I need to reject you now or keep pursuing you, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily like so you have a more black and white stint of like, I like you, I don't like you, and I guess you could be a little coy with some of them too. But man, it's really funny because I go on forums and you can tell people do not know how to talk to women. Because like they're like, guys, I went through the whole game and Shadowheart doesn't like me anymore. What the fuck did I do? Like, I don't know how the fuck you fucked that up. That was the easiest shit ever. Like, what? Like, how?
Oh god, I'm gonna fumble a bad bitch. I'm already ready.
So like, and that's the other thing. Like, so in this is my second playthrough, Bradley. I have, in my main party, I have Gale, Will, and Laziel. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Who I did not have at all. I did not keep around in my party a lot. Will, I completely missed, by the way. I just completely missed him entirely. I don't know if you all picked him up either, Bradley. But it's so good. Like, and running in the second tactician mode, it's not only just like stat buffs, but your enemies get whole new move sets.
Oh Jesus!
So like Bradley, you remember the brain creatures on the Nodloid that like run around and then you have to fight like 3 of them like, at the very beginning? So that's a kind of annoying fight because you're really low level and you can die pretty quickly if you don't know what you're doing. So like, okay, cool. I start the new game. I walk. I'm like, all right, I got these 3 idiots coming up. I can deal with them. Whatever. So in Tactician, they get ranged attacks and they just set up in a firing line and just start shooting at you.
God damn.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay. We're just gonna throw everything out the window now and just make things completely different. Cool, awesome, great. I love it. But yeah, voice acting's great. The story is okay, but I think but it's not like God of War level, I would say, where it's like this whole theme of like, you know, brotherhood or like father son and stuff like that. But it's carried by its characters and the characters and how they like deal with the situation they're being.
That's
handed.
Plenty of games are carried by plenty of stories are characters.
Well, I'm just saying that like, you know, it's you're not gonna have like a lot of heartfelt moments. Well, you are actually gonna have a good amount of heartfelt moments. Surprisingly, like I was shocked. But I'm not saying it's like there's a huge theme to the story other than the individual characters' journeys throughout them. So and also, Bradley, have you been introduced to the 3 villains yet to the game?
I don't think so.
Okay, so the 3 villains of this game are Omni-Man, Lucius Malfoy, and Lady Dimitrescu.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
the last one piqued my interest.
Yeah, so they have J.K. Simmons, Isaac. Oh God.
Oh,
Isaac
you mean the
Jones,
voice actors? Okay.
The voice actors, but they are also those characters.
Sick.
Like, so it's kind of crazy. J.K. Simmons is maybe the biggest professional of an actor I've ever like I think seen, because it doesn't matter what he's in, he's giving his all every single time.
That's so cool.
Yeah, you're like, oh, cool. I really like the game. In terms of like negative points, to just go through them very quickly. When you get to Act 3, I think you hit some pretty big technical walls and issues. Like it's like my game, I had to like load up the game, hit the save file to load up, and let it sit there and load for another like 3 or 4 minutes.
I wonder if the PS5 version was more optimized or not.
I have no idea. I'm waiting on like the Digital Foundry version.
It came out, right? It's out.
Maybe. I'll have to check.
I look at it every day and I'm like, not today.
It's so good. But Act 3, I think, has some technical issues to it. A lot of people think that a big complaint about Act 3 that I get from people is like, it's like the game fucking ends. Like all the storylines just like end in Act 3. I'm like, yeah, it's the fucking ending of the game. What do you want?
Well, I mean, some endings are a little more built up and conclusive than others. I don't think.
Yes, I think
it's a fair complaint if it's a fair complaint.
Yeah, I think a lot of the personal character stories in a very great finale. Like I think Shadowheart has a very emotional final scene that was like, that's a hard decision, girl. I'm literally not going to give you any input I can't.
Was that your romance, Joe?
No, that was my romance actually. Yeah, with Shadowheart's. I
gotta find someone else then.
I gotta go for the goth girl. Like, what am I supposed to do?
You do.
But hers really good. Asterian's final area was super good as well, and like there's one party member in particular that I know a lot of people don't like their ending, and I kind of see why, but at the same time, I kind of like the way it is. And there's another way that she gets like another ending if you have her in a party in a certain amount of time. that she makes a choice and you have to either let her take that choice or force her again or not let her take it. But I think that story arc is not the like I understand why people don't feel satisfied by it, but at the same time she does this really great scene that's like life isn't fair and I fucking hate it, and like you're totally right and I get it, and I think sometimes it's okay to have a character go through that.
It's cool how many different ways things can go. Like not only with what you were saying, but even like early on, whether it's you know, character dialogues and how you develop your relationships with them, or even just like combat encounters. Like this game really feels like each time I play it, it would be a different game.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, and then I'll talk.
I was gonna say like so like and speaking of like, there's a moment where like I am like this is part of the Shadow Heart plot line where like I'm going through Shadow Heart's quest line and she comes to make a choice and she's like, I have to make this choice, I have to do this, and I'm like, no you don't, and it's like it's a roll. So like, by the way, we didn't mention this, but there are skill checks that happen. So like in dialogue options or in events where like you literally see a die roll and it shows you, which I love, all of the things that are contributing to the die roll and what you need to hit with everything lined up. So you have a very clear idea of like how your character is built and how it's contributing to this role and like why you are succeeding some roles and why you are failing some roles.
This was one of the first things that I consciously thought like this is a vast improvement from Divinity, because in Divinity, if you're talking to someone, maybe one of the dialogue options will be like a history check. How much does your character know about history? And in Divinity, it's just you click that option and either you passed or you failed, and it just says pass or fail. And it's like, I mean, was I close? Like, could I pass? Is it technically possible for me to pass it?
And
this one, you see the 20-sided die, and then you see all the modifiers you have from like your character's intelligence or strength, and then you see like, I don't know, like you see other buffs at the bottom. Like if someone on your party charms the person you're talking to, you see that buff at the bottom, and you see exactly what it gets you for that roll. Like, I don't know, +4, or you get to roll 2 die.
Yeah. It's super good. Also, Bradley, I found out on tactician mode, if you do those charm effects and they wear off and you're nearby, they will fucking confront you and potentially attack you. So keep that in mind if you ever do another run on that.
So, okay, before I start playing you guys off the stage, because that's coming soon, we're 24 minutes into this one. I wanted to ask Bradley what the co-op experience is like, because I don't know that at all.
It's pretty damn good. It kind of sucks. I think the PlayStation...
Wait.
No, it's kind of good, but it sucks. No. What sucks is that the PlayStation version, I think, didn't come out until this week.
Yeah.
Which, I know co-op Divinity on the PlayStation was phenomenal, and I imagine it's probably great in this too. So, co-op on PC has been pretty good, though.
Now,
maybe run 2, you can do it on...
Now, Bradley, I don't think you know this, but the game has cross-save, so you can send your game to the Larian Cloud, and you can play it on your PlayStation.
I didn't know that. What the fuck?
Yeah, you just gotta turn the... I told everyone to turn it off at the beginning because it was bugged, like it literally wouldn't let you save your game, but I believe they have fixed it now, so you just have to turn the setting on your playthrough, and it will upload to their cloud system, and then you can play it on your PlayStation.
Well, that's badass.
Yeah. So just food for thought. You have to buy the game again, of course, but... Sometimes
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Comfort over logic. Man, I'm really contemplating this one because it's like, okay, Yakuza 6 almost done. I promised Joe I would play Resident Evil at least in October, so that's coming up. Yeah. So I don't know if I have room in my plate, but I might.
I'll say this: this game is what happens when a studio is given time to actually make a video game and like listen to feedback, and the devs get to play it, and like God, like dude, you know, I feel like I've only really run into like one bug that wasn't even that bad the whole time I've been playing.
Which for a game with this many systems is shocking.
Yes, there's a lot of, I would say, visual bugs, but they're not anything crazy. Like they're not like, you know, people like running out of the scene or something like that. They're kind of like, oh, the hair's acting up, or like this cloak is just kind of freaking out for some reason. And I will also chalk that up to my computer is 13 years old and it might not be able to run the game as efficiently as some other.
You think?
Yeah. Game's good. Game's probably one of the best RPGs I've played, if not the best RPG I've played in the past 10 years.
The Resident Evil 4 dethroner for Joe. Find out at the end of the year.
And I would say like I was not like excited or ecstatic to play the game. I was like, oh, I have this game, I should check it out since it's out now. And then I played it for like 8 hours straight. I was like, maybe I don't go to Austin to visit my friends and I just play this game instead.
That's fucked up, Joe.
Yeah, it is.
I'm glad you did the right thing in the end, but okay.
I should also, I beat the game in 81 hours. No, yes, 81 hours. I beat the game.
That's your playtime or the time IRL?
That's the playtime, I believe. Now I looked on like my last load I did right before I did the final boss, and it said 44 hours. But I know for a fact that's not correct.
It must not count your resets and such, or like time in certain menus.
I think so. But
okay,
81 hours. Pretty
before our short episode goes into 3 hours, I'm gonna have to boo y'all off the stage now.
Deal.
Okay.
So
fine.
Tyler, you finished Pact. I don't know how you want to handle this.
AKA the best story ever.
AKS, yeah, like, I mean, I'll make an argument for it.
I forgot we were even talking about this today. I was at HEB on my way home from work, and I was standing in the self-checkout line, and I was like, Pact was so fucking good.
I know! Tyler hated it.
Yeah, no. Like, I'll give a short synopsis, and maybe someday we'll set some time aside to do.
Yeah, I was gonna. If you want to set like scheduling with you two busy ass motherfuckers is difficult, but we can try to set something up next week, maybe if you want to chat about it.
Maybe, but
or a week before, or a week after.
Long story.
Short.
Nope, not short. It's a long story. Yo, this book was just painful.
I know, man.
It hurts so good.
You know what? Okay, spoiler coming up. Heavy spoiler. We're gonna talk about exactly the end of the book.
Deal.
Sweet. All right, everybody gone. If you don't want to hear it,
come back for One Piece.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. Come back later. Bradley told me that he thinks that Blake was alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end.
Blake is not alive.
Okay, I mean, do you mean like metaphorically? Because maybe you're right. But he's the bird.
No, literally he is not alive.
What did I miss? What are you cooking?
Literally, Blake gets eaten by, what is her name?
Rose?
Rose.
No, it's ambiguous at the end. I mean, yes, but there's that shred of Blake that becomes the bird. Like, it is... What do you think that bird was? What was going on?
I think it's his last shred.
So, I thought, because this is what the book is all about transformation. It talks a lot about Evan and the mermaid. What's the mermaid's name? Green Eyes? Are the ones that are left there at the end.
Well,
and everyone can kind of be molded and changed about, like, throughout the world. Like, obviously they've changed into one thing. Obviously Blake knows things can change into another. My thought is Blake is dead. Blake is dead. He is consumed. He dies. My thought process is that Green Eyes figures out a way to mold herself into a new being, and it is Green Eyes and Evan are the birds.
But the birds, Green Eyes is in the epilogue, is she not? She's the girl in the sweater that they talk about.
What?
Bradley, am I tripping? I could have sworn Green Eyes is like mentioned in the epilogue as well. Like, there's like a small scene with the two birds like in the woods or something, and they go towards a girl, and I think it's just like as the couple is like driving away from them or something near the end.
Yeah, they see a girl by the water.
That's Green Eyes.
Yeah, it says it's hinted that the girl's Green Eyes.
And then the new bird shows up.
Listen, man. Agree to disagree.
At least according to the wiki, it seems like it's not hard confirmed it's Green Eyes, but like it's supposed to be Green Eyes.
My thought process is it's just Green Eyes and Evan. The new bird doesn't show up.
Why? Okay, why do you suppose Green Eyes is all of a sudden so about protecting bikers? Like the motivation of the bird is so Blake.
It's like it's about Evan and Green Eyes carrying on Blake's spirit. Like, that is what Blake wanted to do.
I viewed it as Blake finally got what he wanted. the whole book, which is to be left the fuck alone
in a
and
twist,
he's free.
In a twisted way, as Pact will do, he got what he wanted there at the end. That's how I remember it.
It's the happiest ending this dude's ever written.
Fucked.
That's like why I'm like, no, this Blake is dead. Green Eyes can now transform into a girl. She can transform into a bird.
Oh, not Green Eyes' bow.
She's figured out how to manipulate the power, and like maybe Rose has helped her along the way. But
Rose
the new bird does not show up until he sees the girl, and then the girl disappears, and then now it's Green Eyes and Evan.
I'll have to reread it. I could have sworn all three of them are on the screen at the same time.
I think they're all up there.
Yeah. Only one of the birds is like super excited about the motorcycles, and it's Evan. Like the
well,
other
yes, because like, Blake would be calm about it.
Yeah, he would be calm excited.
Yeah, sure he would be, but like, why wouldn't Blake like want to go get? I don't know. It seems like it's Green Eyes and Evan. That was my thought process there at the end. I just wanted to share that.
No, fair. I'll do some digging into it and see if anyone agrees with you.
I could wholly believe that I'm wrong, and all three of them get to live, and it's like, oh yeah, Evan, Blake, and Green Eyes. Like, Green Eyes stays there in the pond. That's why they come back to the pond.
Yeah.
That's why they're there, because it's Jacob's Bell still.
Well, like the weird crater that is Jacob's Bell. It's weird.
Yeah.
Man.
They should do that to Waco for real, so we just kind of skip by it.
No.
But yeah, it was cool. I like how we really didn't get any more insight onto anything else in the world.
Yeah, I liked how vague. Like, it was a good vague, in my opinion.
Like, it's no Golden Morning, but holy fuck. Like, y'all were not joking that when this book starts, it just don't fucking stop.
It is actually all gas, no brakes. Like
a motorcycle.
You can count the number of seconds that Blake's life is not in moral peril on one hand.
It was a rough time.
At best, there's the sequences where he's in the house again in like chapter or like arc 10, and no one trusts him. Like, yes, he's like in a relatively like no one's fighting him at the moment, but also no one trusts him. So like he's never content.
So 2 things I want to ask y'all.
Okay.
First, do you have a favorite moment in the book?
Oh, I'm gonna have to remember.
Man, here my mind immediately went to. I think I talk to Willer about this moment all the time. During what is probably my favorite arc, which is the Home Alone arc, where it's like all of the Thorburn cousins in the house together fighting off these monstrosities. Whenever Blake is like, I think running out of surfaces to go into, and Peter breaks the sink and the floor starts flooding with water, and Blake's like, you son of a bitch, you're so smart.
I'm trying to remember. One of them is the confrontation with the crone in the woods. The way that the prose is written is like really haunting. I think another one is as Blake is like being reduced. Like the scenes in which Blake is a spirit and like right as he's being like absorbed into Rose, as I recall. Those were really good too.
You know what?
I really liked the final battle.
The library sequence is also really good when they're like in that pillar library.
Yeah, when they're hopping in and out of the abyss.
So cool.
I really enjoyed the final fights. I hated the tower segment.
Oh, I was just saying I like that.
Yeah, no.
Oh, the other one. The one near the end where they're in what's his name? What is not the main antagonist, but the person who's being possessed? Padre.
Johannes.
Johannes. Yes.
Yeah. I hated Johann's like domain arc at the very end.
I like the shit when like. Oh, dude, when Ainsley, I think, breaks the candle to freeze time as the blades are shutting in on them.
Oh my god.
That shit's raw. I don't care who you are.
I mean, I thought it was extremely lackluster compared to The Abyss. It felt
The Abyss
like
was
we
crazy.
went to the literally deepest dark, and then came back up, and I was like, oh, okay, now you have to deal with this shit. And I was like,
Is that necessarily a bad thing? Because if you're gonna say, like, here's hell, should there be something in this story that supersedes hell? Would that not take away from all that Blake lost crawling out of there?
Like, it was really, I mean,
we got like 90% hell, and it was
like the raw barber versus Johann Barber is like they're fighting 50% barber after we had already been introduced to 100% barber, and I'm like, yo, like Ultra Instinct Barber is way more lit of a fight than like Super Saiyan 1 Barber.
But he couldn't escape the hair prison shit without being 50% barber. It is what it is.
Talking about the barber, I remember there was one moment during one of those final fights where the barber ends up speaking to them, and like they had tried talking to the barber a bunch of times up to that point, and then he talks back, and I think they were surprised he could talk because I guess he just didn't care to respond to them up until that point.
He's such a good like horror demon villain.
Oh yeah.
I hate. There's one point I really hate because it's good. It was very intriguing to me. There is an epilogue or an interlude about a person who works with demons who summons like a demon prince.
I remember this. I remember them summoning the demon
like
prince.
The introduction to how the lawyers actually recruit people.
Oh yeah.
Demons who get him and people get him way over their head.
He gets like suckered, as I recall. That's like in the middle early even, right?
No, it's late. It's like the last third. And I was like, yo, I want to know more about demons that are stronger than the barber now. But we never get that, so that's
what's kind of crazy is like our main antagonist that like causes this cataclysmic event is like a regular ass demon.
And is that not cool? Like that is such good
that's
world
what's
building.
Cool to me. That's what's cool to me.
So Golden Morning is like peak grand spectacle, right? I think it's tough for anything to beat that, but I like the Jacob's Bell battle being like It implies that it'll have bad effects in the world, but it's not immediately world-threatening. It is bad for the town of Jacob's Bell. And I like that smaller scale. It's more personal. It feels like, I don't know, like a...
This is JoJo's Arc 3 versus JoJo's Arc 4.
Exactly, and I love JoJo's 4. That's exactly it.
I'm a JoJo's 3 guy, but I appreciate 4 now for what it is.
There we go.
I think Pact is the opposite of Worm, and it's similar in a lot of ways, but I find the story opposite from Worm in a lot of ways, like, whether it's like the pacing, the pacing at the very beginning, but also like God, that finale, like the scope of Worm's finale kind of can't get bigger than it is, and the scope of this finale, despite it all being in just one tiny little town, it feels like the biggest thing in the world.
So, my favorite part, or mini arc in the book, I think, is at like part 8 or something.
With the Maggie?
No.
Padrake.
Maggie and Padrake are pretty mid.
There you go.
Point.
Yeah.
I
like
pretty
them.
mid. It is when Blake goes to Toronto.
Oh, that was like 6.
Is trapped inside of Conquest's domain. Solo Blake finding Evan, getting the sword, fighting Pogue. Was that
Pose.
I think like
That's,
so.
Stretch is so good.
The theme of the book and how Rose, the grandmother, like this is everything that she expected them to do. That is the one thing I feel like Rose's grandmother did not expect to happen, was Blake to have that solo adventure.
I don't think she didn't expect Blake to succeed for as long as he did. Like that's the whole thing. He
was supposed to crash and burn.
Yeah,
but like those,
the little warrior.
Yeah, but those moments where it's like solo Blake powering up on his own, like if he had not been tethered to his fate, like that's why Rose was so pissed off he got Evan. Is like, yo, you weren't supposed to fucking power up like this. How am I supposed to kill you now?
Damn, I forgot. Did Rose knew that early?
Rose knew that whole time.
She
my
knew.
Fucking god, this story's so good. I want to
She
reread it.
knew since the first chapter.
I forget how early it is. That's crazy. That's so fucked up.
Because like the plan was always supposed to be like whichever heir is there is gonna die fast. So you know what? Blake is just the cushion.
Yeah.
She can live. She can be safe in the mirror, learn as much as she can before he dies and gets out.
So was that your favorite moment, Tyler? Would be like, I mean, that's kind of the whole little arc. But you asked what the favorite moments are.
It's
So.
like, it's, yeah. I think specifically like the Pose fight. That's when we really feel like Pose is just an imp. He's just an imp, and he's struggling this much. And I feel like it's the peak of understanding the mystical powers that are like out there in the world. It's the demon lore and how he's like defeating them and the exchanges they have to make the arrangements and how he has to find the loopholes that Pose has set and the trap Blake makes for your conquest to let Pose be released. Like, it's so good.
If you step out of this circle, Pose comes out of the trap and eats you alive kind of shit.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That fucking little imp introduced me to like how good the word battles in Pact are because there's physical combat, but so much of the combat is just words. And like, he's trying to strike that initial contract with Pose where he's like, I need to bind you. And they strike a deal where Pose is like, okay, after I sign this contract, I will literally use 0 of my abilities while I am binded. You don't have to worry. I'm not going to use any of my abilities. And Blake's like, this has to be a trap. This has to be a trap. And eventually he's like, oh, this is airtight. And they bind Pose, and Pose has a little shit-eating grin because he stops using his abilities, and his abilities were what was keeping all the wild animals in Blake.
Another part I like about that arc is when Blake is on the motorcycle with Evan and he's charging through like the ghost of like that one ghost man. That's just such a cool imagery. But like there's so like when he gets back, I think there's also a lot of good moments when he gets back from the abyss as well. I will say my least favorite section of the story is when Blake just goes psycho on the not the Beeheims but the lady family.
Yeah, and he's like...
He just becomes the boogeyman, for real.
He is a literal boogeyman.
Yeah.
Yes, that part is great. And
I was so conflicted.
We never figure out what's allowing him to win. Oh, no, we do. We do. The Abyss is, like, full supporting him doing this.
Because it'll corrupt him and bring him back.
Well, it'll not... It won't corrupt him. It wants to make him really strong so the Abyss could use him. But it ends up having to take Rose instead.
Okay, I forgot that plot element.
Yeah.
And the last arc is also very good. You had a second question though to ask.
I think that was it. Is the best character in the book Evan?
It's Blake for me, dog.
God, Evan, like this book would not have been the same without Evan. Blake is my favorite character, but
Evan is
favorite was I said who's the best.
Evan's the best then, if that's what you want.
Dude, this book would have been way too depressing without Evan.
That's the thing. The book would be a failure if Evan didn't exist.
Like Evan is literally the best character.
I'm trying to find our tier list that we made, Bradley. I think I would have to pull up the video, but I was
every character's an S.
No, we didn't go that hard. I think every character's an A though, at least. I was gonna ask, who's your favorite character, Tyler? Well, aside from Evan, I guess.
Yeah, so it's like after that it does go Blake. Like Blake's such a good character. So like we're talking about supporting cast.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. It's so weird that like I think Peter is so high up there.
Okay, yeah, let's fucking go.
It is Peter after Blake.
So what we had was Blake, Evan, Rose, Peter, and then we had Alistair and Rose Senior. Alistair also cooks.
I like Alistair.
I don't really like Rose Senior. I think she's pretty just a plot device with not really a lot of attachment to it.
Nah, like her. Just how much of a bitch she is so good. It's so good. We have Green Eyes at the top of A for who may concern.
Who was your favorite Toronto character?
It looks like we have Laird here. Well, no, Laird doesn't count.
Hell,
It looks like we have Duncan as he's third in our A tier.
Duncan?
Duncan rules.
I guess Duncan was like
nah, Fel was my boy.
Fel and Isadora are next, and then James Corvidae. Oh, James Corvidae! That dude.
JP?
my favorite dude, James Corvidae, was working for the Crone the whole fucking time.
I know they were like in love or whatever. Who's Jeremy Meath? He got pretty high. I don't remember him.
Oh,
Well, damn, Jeremy.
Jeremy
oh.
Meath was a boogeyman.
I think he was just that interesting.
He was a bogeyman. Oh, y'all, who the fuck was Jeremy Meath?
You read it most recently. The burden's on you.
Oh, I remember that dude. Okay, he was the one he was like the drunk. He worshipped like.
Oh,
the
he
god of
was
wine or
good.
whatever.
He was the drunk. That's literally his name. Was just the drunk.
Well, he's got a name too. It's Jeremy Meath.
Yeah.
So many good characters. Oh,
I really liked. So we didn't get a lot of this character, but I really liked the astrologian.
yes.
Astrologi-
Yeah, sure. Yeah, her. She's cool.
Yeah. Like her power system was some Hunter shit, and it was great.
Oh,
Then they
dude.
had like this shack full of like vintage computers and shit
Yeah.
that was like part of their practice.
Bro, Molly Walker getting the role she gets by the end. That is crazy.
Molly Walker is fucking annoying.
No, she's great because
There's a second book in the Pact universe.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how much I
Yeah.
miss Pact and how like I never can click with Pale.
Like, here's my problem with Wildbow, is I think he doesn't make good sequels about the characters he should be making sequels about.
Now, to be fair, you haven't given those sequels a fair shot. I can say that because I've tried 4 arcs of Pale.
I did a what's it called when you used to want to not read your literature book? Spark Notes.
You did that doesn't count.
I Spark Noted Ward.
Doesn't count.
Like, who wants to read a book about the flesh goose?
I don't know what that is. You're cheating. It doesn't
No,
count.
that's the girl who gets turned into
It's
a
Victoria.
flesh goose and worm.
Oh, Victoria could be a good book.
But okay, that's like saying okay. But here's the thing: the second book in Pact, like,
It's not about these characters at all. I don't think any of them show up from what I heard.
yeah, but one of them has a heavily unfinished plot,
Maggie?
aka Maggie.
I think Maggie would have been if Bale's about Maggie, I would have finished it by now.
Exactly, but here's the thing: you can't do 14, 15 arcs about Maggie. Could you do 6? Easily. Easily.
Well, too bad he doesn't do 6. He's got to do Pale.
23.
Pale just finished. He's got to spend what was it, Bradley? More than Ward and Worm combined.
Something like that. I can't believe that book actually made it to the epilogues.
I know. What an era.
All right.
I miss Wildbow. Should I do Twig? I don't know. I want to do.
I'm
Wildbow
gonna give
again.
whatever he starts next a try and hope it's not gonna be as long as 5 of the Harry Potter series.
Good call.
Now we go into the last Eternal series.
Oh yeah, the last Eternal series, the best one.
This is the big one. He's gonna live forever completing this one because it will never end. Well, I mean that's a good little chunk for Pact, I will say. Let me get the defibrillator for Joe. I think he was reading Undead Unluck while we did all this.
I went outside for a walk. What did I miss?
Nothing much.
All right, cool.
Which leads us to our last topic, which was the One Piece live action. Now, it might come as a surprise to you, but we talk about One Piece sometimes as a group. So needless to say, we all had some interest in the live action.
Dude, I was waiting for this shit for so long.
The hype was building up. I was like very measured, but I was pretty hyped those last 2 days. It was like when you're not hyped for a video game until right about its release. What did y'all think? Now Tyler only watched 1 episode, so maybe he can go first
So,
because he hates One Piece.
So, I here's the bad thing. I hated Alvida, and this is just literally like the smallest part of the first episode. Alvida, I feel like was like a weak part.
Huh. She was fine. She's Alvida.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like fine, but like I feel like there was no energy with that character. I don't know.
I know what you mean because we
Episode, I feel like the energy is a little low. Maybe I'm too used to over the top, zany, wacky And obviously, it's gonna cook for me. It's gonna get there. The costumes are beautiful. The sets are beautiful.
Oh yeah.
The cinematography's great.
It can be. It's they like doing really close to the face shots.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but it's mostly good.
The choreography from
It's
the
so
first
good.
episode, it was amazing. I was like, yo, this shit's lit.
Think of TV shows. Think of a Marvel movie. They don't have this good choreography.
Like,
Yeah.
they got Zoro sliding on his knees through the courtyard, slicing people. I was like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is fucking
Bro,
awesome.
I
love
read
it.
today, Sanji did all his stunts. Zoro
Yeah.
did all but one. So they're literally fighting each other to see who could do the
Damn.
most stunts.
Yeah.
Sanji also learned how to cook and then cook for the entire crew when they were hanging out together.
That's a good
These
bonding.
people are dedicated AF,
Yeah.
and they're all
They
nerds
yeah.
about it.
They should be. If this goes well, they have a job for the next 15 years.
Oh god, I hope they
120
announce season 2.
they so deserve it.
So I like y'all go off. Tell me more.
I thought this shit was great.
Yeah.
I just like, as far as a live action adaptation goes, like the bar for an anime live action adaptation is
So
just
low.
just don't suck. But I think this was way above don't suck. I think it was. I thought for a live action adaptation, it was pretty damn good.
Not only was the bar really low, but the show surpassed normal consumer shows on Netflix.
It's like it did big numbers. It's like Netflix's 30th biggest release ever.
No,
It's the Stranger Things of
it
pirate
passed-
shows.
it
Shut
surpassed
up.
Stranger Things and Wednesday.
No, it has not surpassed Wednesday. Not even
It
close.
surpassed Wednesday.
It has not surpassed Wednesday.
I saw a headline about that. I don't know if it's true or not.
I looked at the numbers today. Wednesday had like 400 million hours, while One Piece had 140.
Okay,
So
it was a
it's like-
different metric I was looking at.
Oh, maybe like it had more unique viewers, but
It was some shit like
but
that.
people watch a lot more Wednesday, and definitely not Squid Games. I think that's their top, is what I read. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's doing good. More importantly, not only is live action anime a low bar, they picked literally the worst adaptable show of all time. I can't think of a single one that's worse.
That's the thing. Like this should be,
A
by all
disaster.
accounts, this should be like the hardest anime to adapt to live action.
And they kind of cooked, I gotta say. Like, I'll let you guys go because I'm definitely the one that has the most complaints. Because I think this show, the more you have read and care about the nuances of the East Blue, the more annoyed you're gonna be. But for like all the people who are watching this as their first introduction to One Piece, love it. Like, I was talking to Trevor and Ashlyn about Luffy as a character. Like, just think about that for a second. That is a sentence that I should have never said. They're so anti-anime.
Yeah.
Like, my mom could watch this and enjoy it. My brothers could watch this. Like, it's crazy. It's such a success in that front. But when you're a diehard One Piece fan, you're like, ugh, I don't like that one change. And that's me
and Willard
sometimes.
were talking about that. We watched the last 2 episodes together. Me and Willard did. It was the last 2 or 3, but yeah. I think one thing that I really liked with the show is that like it just wasn't afraid to be One Piece or like to show it's like how crazy it is. Like it wasn't like we're gonna tone down. There are some things that have to get toned down just because like
Usopp's nose. Like, that's a good tone down.
Which is weird because then you have fucking Nezumi who has whiskers coming out of his face and like these just random like
he doesn't have to be on the
mouse
screen and taken seriously the whole time. I think it's
Yeah,
what
true.
made me believe was when you see Mary and you're like, why the fuck do you look like that? It's so good. Like,
yeah,
like not the
it's-
boat, Mary the man. Like he's just
Yeah.
a weird sheep man for some reason.
Yeah, and then like, but it's like it hits this really good middle ground of being campy, of like we know some of this stuff is fucking ridiculous. We're gonna just ride with it, but we're also not taking away from our emotional scenes either. Like we're gonna play them seriously, and we're gonna have people act, and we're not gonna cut a joke in the middle of it. Like they're like it's really important that those emotions hit. Like you have like Zoro fighting Mihawk and his emotion afterwards. You have Sanji's flashback. You have Nami's flashback, which I think me and Will both have a lot of complaints about that. It's like they hit those emotional beats really, really well, but they also kept the cartooniness of like One Piece itself. It really felt like that world is crazy and erratic, and the characters react to it in very like like how they should if they live there. Like there's some stuff you're like, yeah, that's just how the world works, and other stuff they're just like, that's fucking weird. Why are you doing that kind of a thing? Like Luffy, for example, is a weirdo. Like no matter where you are in the world, like people are gonna react to you weird.
Yeah.
But the snail phones are like part of the world. No one's making a joke about the snail phones.
They're
Which
just there
think
being
about
weird.
that.
Nightmare fuel, you mean?
Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
like
perfect.
think about that. If it was an MCU stuff, someone would be mentioning how weird it is they have
True.
snails.
The humor was really good. It never got like snarky. Like it was always balanced to not be cringy. I think that's really important to mention.
Yes.
Question: Did y'all watch in English or Japanese?
English.
I watched in English.
English.
Kelly and I started watching it in English, and then we switched to Japanese, and we were like, "This helps a lot."
Huh. Okay.
That you're weirdos.
I just I love it's got the original voice cast and they're the goats.
Yeah.
I like every Straw Hat voice actor. The problem is, Dub's got the mouth flap issue and like that's gonna bother me a little bit, no matter what.
It's also like the actors do good.
Yeah.
Like I like Sanji's actor. I
they're
like
really good
Nami's
actors.
actor.
Man,
Yeah.
of all the things I think this show did well, the thing that like I just gotta give him a round of applause. The casting director the casting is so good.
Dude, Zeph is so fucking good in this.
Yeah.
I was
It's
blown
perfect.
away by some of those Zeph scenes. So good. Arlong, I was skeptical because he's got to wear 10 tons of shit on his face the whole time. I actually really liked Arlong in this. I thought he was really good. Boogie, everyone's horny for Boogie right now on TikTok. That's pretty cool.
Everyone's always horny for Boogie.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Who else is there? I think oh god, there was one of them that
Kuro
was
was just Kuro. That guy is just
That
fucking
guy was just
Kuro
Kuro.
for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, Helmeppo. Helmeppo was like
God.
weirdly perfect. It was like he came,
dude.
Helmeppo's
He
the
came-
one character in this show that is objectively better than in the manga.
Like I was expecting to see him in maybe 2 or 3 scenes and then never see him again. I was glad that I got to see him almost every episode. Oh my god, the episode was he in episode 1 or 2?
He's in episode
one, yeah.
But like, dude,
He's butt naked.
I was watching that episode. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, why is Helmeppo my favorite part of this episode?
yeah, and
It's so
it's like
fucked
it's
up.
great because he has long hair, and then Zoro gives him the shitty
The
haircut. Like
dickhead.
that's so good.
And
then,
I-
like,
Actor plays him so well.
Kobe,
Yeah.
I think Kobe did really good, especially for like what Kobe needs to be at this point of the story.
yeah,
And like technically, this is a more interesting, tighter overall narrative for the East Blue to have like this MacGuffin of the one map to like integrate Arlong earlier. Like on paper, these are all better decisions. And the way I would describe this show, it's taking One Piece characters and putting them in remixed One Piece arcs. So they're shuffling around a lot of what goes on in the arc, and that's actually not where my problems come. If I had to get into my main problems with the writing, it's they leave out
there's some-
really subtle character bits that I think are like if you've like watched or read the East Blue once or twice, you're gonna pick up on like these really small things that made the character spark to life. And they decided to do other things that are less interesting than those small things. One point in particular is, for example, not having the Usopp pirates. I think that Usopp pirates are so important to set up the vibe of Usopp as this loser captain pretend pirate, and like their growth throughout that arc is really good. More importantly, I think not having Hachi is like, it's a bit of a red flag for me. It's like, oh, you care about Hachi that much? They can replace him. But it's like, it's so important that Nami forgives someone who made her life hell later on to set up the racism arc in Fishman Island. You set that up as Sambodi. He's the reason the Straw Hats got split up. It's Luffy fighting for Hachi's honor. So, like, not having that character just makes me wonder how much they care about some of that progression later on. Like, you could have had Hachi there for, like, 5 to 7 minutes, and I would be fine. Like for example, they have Nezumi there just barely enough. That's enough. Like, you don't have to give the characters a lot of screen time. And ultimately, that is screen time that Garp's plotline had to take. And then I get into my biggest problem with this season, which is Garp. I do not like this version of Garp whatsoever.
That's the thing, right? Because here's the thing.
Pretty not
Garp!
happy.
That is not Garp!
That's the thing. We get probably 40 times more Kobe and Helmeppo in this,
Which is
than
a
we
good
got
idea,
in the release.
technically.
It's like
Yeah.
all of the extra Kobe and Helmeppo we got. I was like, oh my god, give me more. Like I wish we got this much of them in the original because they're doing great. Garp, I was like, his personality feels a little off.
He's such a stickler for the rules when Garp is supposed to be the opposite of Luffy and like embody freedom within the Marines. He feels like I think Joe said he feels more like Sengoku, and that's accurate.
Yes.
Did you
Yeah.
talk about? I may have missed it real quick. Did you talk about the ending of episode 1 when Luffy and Kobe depart from each other?
I thought that was pretty good.
I
What
I hated it.
Oh really? What did you like?
I like the normal one.
Well, what's
Where-
nice about the normal one, and they cut this character, is that as they're departing, like, Kobe has convinced one of the Marines in town that Luffy's a good guy. And that's just like a
Yes.
nice way to show that the Marine mooks can be
And
convinced.
then he entices Kobe to punch him.
Yeah!
So that
Yeah.
Kobe
Oh!
can join the
Yeah, yeah.
Marines. And then
Yeah.
as he's leaving, Kobe runs out and says goodbye, and then all the Marines are behind him
Saluting.
Yeah.
It's like a little
Like,
thing. You could
that
have
is-
spent a minute on that scene and I would be happy.
That is pivotal to the overarching theme of One Piece.
It is because, like, Kobe, you have to fight pirates, even if your heart's not in it. Like, on paper, you need to follow this route, and one day maybe you can change the system from inside. I will
Not
say
just
though,
that, but how Luffy frees the soldiers and they're grateful.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's also really important. Like Morgan's, like I think Joe said, Morgan's not very authoritative here, and that's true. I will say
He's just kind of egotistical in
Yeah.
this rather than like a dictator.
I will say what I did like about the Kobe goodbye scene is when Kobe says he's not going, Iñaki, the actor for Luffy, does this like little internal Luffy look down and then smile. Like Iñaki does a really good job at emoting the Luffy emotional maturity that I've always talked about as like one of Luffy's best traits. Like he acts it out really well. So stuff like I appreciate the plot changes. Like I respect the new direction. I think it works well for the TV. Like Sierra Village is just a completely different arc, but it was like it's a good idea. Like it wasn't a bad idea to do, but like it means that you cut out the Usopp Pirates and Django. Like if this show had a scene where Django is dancing and Luffy joins him, it would do Wednesday numbers because it needs a TikTok dance. That's how Wednesday got
True.
big.
Yeah.
But like also. I think Nojiko is so fucked up in this show. Like that is
it's awful.
Nojiko and Nami's relationship is so wholesomely good. Like she gets the tattoos for Nami, so Nami doesn't feel alone. In this show, she just has the tattoos. I guess
She just kinda has them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like missing the mark a little bit, and like that's just me being the super fan. I still think it's a super fun show. I was smiling like the whole time. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are like some of the bigger complaints.
I think those are like up there with me as well. And like I think for Garp, they're like we kind of know where he needs to be at the end, but it's just also kind of like Garp never went through an arc in One Piece. Like you get a sense of like Garp's always been this way. Right.
Like, it's technically happening now live, like as the like it's a very deep arc, like for the end of the series. He doesn't need to like I don't know, like what happens when is he just gonna be completely different when he shows up in Ennie's lobby if they get there? I don't know. Like it's gonna be weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure
And,
like how they're gonna take the character.
Those characters I feel pretty pivotal being cut out means that like dude, we might get Alabasta without like Toto and Koza. Karu might not exist. We're gonna get Dressrosa with like Doflamingo and Treble, and that's it. Like none of the Doflamingo family exists. Fisherman Island's just gonna be Hody. Vanderdeck is not even gonna be there. The Nova's not even gonna be part of. Like it just leads me to a spiral of like if they're cutting this like for the longer arcs that are like gonna take multiple episodes, they're gonna cut fucking everybody. So it is a little worrisome. But I do.
They're not gonna have Hoikel or Moikel.
We can do without Hoiko and Moiko, I guess. But
No.
they're not gonna have Pepe Lulu, let me tell you that right now.
Nope.
Sorry.
Or Tilestone.
Yeah. But alas.
Here's the thing. Like, they had to make a lot of narrative differences, and, like, some of them, like, we miss out on, like, important character moments, which are, like, I can see those. There are some people online who, like, if anything is different, like, if a character steps with their right foot instead of their left foot, some of these people are like, I can't believe... Like, there was this one post I saw where this guy was, like, in the scene where Shanks' pirates are fighting those bandits or whatever, Yasop shoots this guy like this instead of like this, how he did in the original. And I'm like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, like I'm not that stickler. I'm stickler more for like missed potential.
Yeah, like that's the stuff that matters.
Yeah. But like all the Straw Hats are not quite the Straw Hats, but I think that's fine. They're like good adaptations of the Straw Hats in live action. I think that works well. Like Zoro here loves killing. First thing he does is kill a black man. Hello, Minority Hunter. Anybody?
They do know the source material.
They do, so you can trust them. But like he still has that. Like he doesn't say exactly what he says when he's pledging to Luffy, but you get it in the scene where he wakes up. Like they split it up in a really smart way. I love the scene where Zoro and Nami drink.
That's so good.
And they're like exchanging shots. Like there's so much good added stuff. It's just like some of it is not quite as good as some of the stuff's missing, but it's still like just picture it as like a alternate timeline One Piece that's still pretty damn good, and I like it that way.
I can't wait for season 4.
That should be
when they get.
That should be Water 7 around then.
What's season 3?
Season 3 would be
Skypiea.
Jaya Skypiea.
I want them to spend the entire season at Skypiea.
I bet it'll go like 2 in Jaya, 4 in Skypiea, 2 in like Long Green Long Land, and set up Water 7 kind of thing.
That'd be a horrible way to end that season.
Not if Aokiji shows up and sets up Robin drama.
True.
No,
True.
But they get also
Eminem to be,
Black.
We get the introduction of Blackbeard and
Blackbeard.
They can do a lot more. Like they can expand
Zoom
Blackbeard.
guy.
Zoom guy.
Blackbeard played by The Rock.
Let's go.
Bellamy.
Oh yeah, they can definitely
Bellamy.
Despite my complaints, I'm actually more excited for season 2 because if they take some of the feedback about like the more minor things and like tighten up the script I also didn't like the colors that they have on everything. I think they can let the colors shine a little bit more. I think they were maybe embarrassed of like going too cartoony.
It looked very dirty.
Yeah.
But I think that's also kind of fine.
I just hope that they listen to the fans because season 2 could be amazing. I am worried I imagine they're going to extend Ace a lot in Alabasta because he just shows up and leaves, right? I'm worried that he'll do the mission with the Straw Hats and it kind of needs to be them saving the country. So we'll see how bad my fears are.
I think our B plot for season 2 is going to be Tashigi and Smoker.
Yeah. I'm actually more welcome to that than Garp because I don't think they're going to fuck up Smoker's character. Like they did with Garp.
And I feel like Garp in this season feels more like Smoker does with Tashigi. Because he goes through the whole thing of we have to catch them, they're pirates, we have to go after them. And at the very end, he's and at the very end, he's just like, Tashigi, you have to make your own justice. And he gives the reins to her.
Yeah. I felt that way too. Like a lot of the time I was watching Garp, I was like, I feel like this is Smoker.
Yeah. It's like Smoker or Sengoku mix, but not decidedly on Garp.
Yes.
The only Garpy things he had was he threw the cannonballs. He
has a hat.
He looks fantastic. He's the perfect Garp casting ever. It's not the actor's fault at all. It's the script in that sense.
Yeah. I think everything else he did was great. He has a great laugh too when that does come out every once in a while.
Can we talk about Mihawk's intro scene? I thought that went so hard.
Mihawk was the shit.
Bro, he's the first, he's the most supernatural feat that we see when he slices the ship, and I was like, cool. It's cool to see how you guys are going to adapt, bigger scale fights later.
Yeah.
Dude, even him, flicking his wrist and flinging Zoro with the knife, I was like, that felt...
really good.
That felt good to me, because here's the thing. I think all of us have generally medium to positive opinions. I probably have the highest positive opinion. I thought this live action adaptation was the shit.
Mine's positive. I'd give it a strong 7 or somewhere around there.
Probably there were only 2 moments in this whole show I was watching it that I was less than completely enthused. The first one was at the very beginning. Gold Roger didn't say, and I left it all in one piece.
Yeah, kind of weird.
Which I was I feel like if this is someone's first exposure, specifically saying that is that's why it's called the One Piece.
Yeah.
But we were talking about fighting. The only other time that I felt less than enthused is I loved pretty much all the fights, especially Mihawk versus Zoro. The only time I was is specifically
Kuro.
When Luffy. For me, it was when Luffy's fighting Arlong out in front of Baratier. There's one cool part where he kind of like launches Luffy into a sailboat, but for a solid like 10 to 15 seconds, they're both standing in one spot, just kind of like punching and elbowing each other, and I'm like,
It was fun. To me, it was Kuro because, like, they didn't adapt out of the bag attack, and I think that would have looked so cool in live action with, like, all the, like, claw marks on the wall. It would have been good in the mansion vibe that they were going for, too. But Kuro just kind of teleports behind Luffy, and he's like, I'm not going to stab you yet. And then, like, it definitely didn't live up to the...
Luffy does the instinct punch he does against Mr. 3 in Little Garden.
Yeah, instinct. Mr. 3 cut out. His amazing character arc in Impel Down is just not gonna. There's no Boogie Ball. They can't adapt the best joke in One Piece without the Boogie Ball.
that was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Maybe Boogie will be like, back then I blew up the town with the Boogie Ball and explain it. Then I don't know. How did y'all feel about Krieg and how they handled Krieg?
Oh yeah, 'cause we didn't do that whole sequence, did we?
Yeah.
No, Krieg gets one shot by Mihawk.
Yeah.
Best decision they made.
Like, I don't. What I would have liked is, like, Krieg shows up for like a 5-minute. Like, he just shows up. He's like, I'm here, Mihawk. Fuck you. And then he shoots the needle gun. Luffy punches him through the cape, and then Mihawk kills him. Like,
yeah,
just have, like, adapt that in the quickest way possible. I would have liked that, but it's fine. Like, no biggie.
There's another thing that we didn't bring up, Willard, that is kind of a bit of a plot hole, and unless I missed a bit of dialogue, but like, Luffy gets put in the chores for a year, and then they just let him leave. Like,
oh, yeah, he didn't say the Baratia, did he?
Yeah, like the whole plot about him fighting Krieg was that, like, if you beat these pirates, we'll let you go. It's like, all right, cool.
They're like, look, listen, take Sanji away from here. Get him out.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like he's gonna say about the Arlong pirates stuff. You can get them out of my restaurant, I'll let you go. But they don't even have that line. Like,
yeah, good point. Yeah, you just gotta assume.
Yeah, so it's just a really weird thing.
The kid Straw Hats, I thought, did really good for kids. Luffy's actually like the worst, ironically, but like, Kid Zoro was kind of cooking. I really like how they adapted his backstory.
Kid Zoro and Kid Sanji.
Yes. Oh, dude, that looked miserable. Like, they made that a hell scenario.
That kid looked like he was going through it.
And then Nami, like, I think Joe was saying, like, they killed someone in front of Nami in real life to make her cry that hard.
Yeah. They actually gave her a tattoo, and she's crying from the needle when Kirby is doing it to her.
They actually made her join pirates.
For real.
Yeah.
Draw these maps. Anyways, like, I like the inside part of the Arlong fight, like him destroying the room. The Gum Gum axe looked great. Like, Luffy stretching, Uncanny Valley in a good way. Like, it was just kind of cool to see a character stretch and it not look awful. Like, it would look pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
It looked great for what it was. Yes. Oh, you know where they could do the Monkey Ball, Willer? Is in Loge Town. Like, they shoot the Mary with the Monkey Ball and he bounces it away.
That could be, or like it hits the ocean and explodes really big.
Yeah.
That'd be cool, actually. So next season should be opening up with like at least an episode of Luge Town, maybe like half Luge Town, half Reverse Mountain. I think that'd be good. And then, like,
they're not going in Laboon. There's no way they're going inside that fucking whale.
No, they're gonna talk to Laboon outside the whale, of course.
Yeah, they just talk.
Going into Laboon, I think, is just stupid because how is there light in there? I don't like to think about it.
If they don't do some Monty Python ass shit with the introduction of Crocus, where they're all just staring each other down and having like awkward dialogues, and he's just death glaring them, and he's like. And then he just sits down and starts reading his paper.
That is such a good gag in the show.
It is so good.
It's one of the better ones. I just saw this fan casting for for Ace, and I really love it. Actually, this would be fire. That's the kid who does Blue Beetle and Cobra.
Oh, that'd be badass.
He looks great.
Oh, that'd be great.
That is like he looks like Luffy's brother. This is awesome.
And you know what? You could get away with it. Like, oh yeah, they're brothers, and that puts everyone to a sense of
the false sense of security before the Garp or the Roger twist, which is good.
Yeah.
So my prediction is like season 2 up to Alabasta, season 3 up to like Long Ring. Then you have the Enies Lobby saga. Probably you have Enies Lobby and Thriller Bark in the same season actually, and then you do like all of Marineford in like season 5. 5 seasons to cover up to Marineford seems both doable and not even that crazy.
Realistically, like, how many seasons do you guys think we're gonna get?
They could adapt up to Wano in 10 seasons, from what I calculated.
But damn, dude, like
It's a lot.
I
yes.
think we'll get. Being realistically, we'll get 2 seasons.
I think I will be happy if we get a second one.
Yeah, I mean, it depends, right? The story's written for them, so like maybe they can work around the writer's strike by just having people adapting. But I would Matt Owens, the writer, seems like a cool dude. I hope he wouldn't work during the writer's strike, but I don't know what.
Yeah,
Netflix is evil.
That's
so.
the other thing too. It's like this started filming in 2017.
Yeah.
You have to remember that.
Yeah.
So it's like.
Which is why, like, when Garp is like, fuck the new generation, I'm like, there was literally a chapter a month ago where Garp is like, the new generation's everything. So I was like, clearly these guys don't know what just happened in the manga when they wrote that line.
I do think it's funny. I mentioned this to Willard Bradley, and but like, there's the scene where Garp goes to the Baradier and he talks to Zeph, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure the executive went like, we built this fucking big-lipped fish boat for 2 episodes of this fucking show.
Yes.
That's not gonna fly. We're gonna you have to use the scene. You have to use the set.
I had the exact same thought. Kobe and Helmeppo were doing their shots, and I was like, yeah, they spent like $1 million on this boat. They want to use it.
Yeah. Which is fine, but I just think it's really funny. It's like we gotta use this boat, man.
I
It's
can't
like
believe these sets they made.
Incredible.
Holy shit.
The Barati is crazy. Arlong Park.
Arlong Park?
Joe had a great point. They made Arlong Park more parky, and that is good foresight, actually,
It's
because
good.
it's shaped after Sambodi Park, so I really like that. That was a good call on their part. Also had nightclub vibes at night, and I thought that was fun. I like how the
Also,
black
his,
character gets trap music. Arlong gets like trap music. Is like cool, all right?
I like how Arlong's throne is called Shark Attack, which I think is one of his moves
Yeah,
that
it's
he
one of
does.
his attacks. Yeah.
Speaking of Arlong Park, I'm glad we got Usopp's like solo fight.
But it was missing the scene where he thinks about not doing it, and I think like
I know.
that's 30 seconds. That's what annoys me. It's like a little 30-second injection that is missing. But we live, we move on.
Because like we definitely see Usopp be cowardly in all the other fights that he's in. So
Yeah.
just having him,
Which isn't much. He got to do like one thing all season, but
but like him just having that moment, like, no, I need to pump myself up and do this, and he does it. I think would have been really good.
So while Usopp got like I think done a little dirty material wise, I thought his acting, especially when he's telling lies,
When
is
he's telling
really
lies.
good.
Whenever I think Zoro wakes up, he's like, Zoro, thank God you're safe. And they're like, we beat the pirates. And he's like, oh, the pirates? Yeah, man, you should have seen him. Like, I don't know. He's just.
It's like a fun, realistic adaptation of his lies. I like that take. So like they could do the whole post time skip. Fishman Island and Punk Hazard 1 season. Dressrosa 1 season, Zoe Whole Cake 1 season, Wano 1 season. Like that's actually not bad if like they get that far.
And then Egghead Final Saga potentially, whatever the fuck's happening now.
Probably
maybe
2
now
seasons.
that they've got season 1 out, maybe like they can keep it rolling faster. Because like it's probably harder to make season 1 of a show than it is to make a season 2 of a show.
The thing is, Bradley, is season 1 usually comes with a lot of the upfront costs of the costuming, the sets, and a lot of like the special effects you would do normally on a regular basis. The thing about One Piece is that you go to a new island every arc. That's a new set. That's a new set of like digital effects you have to do. Each new villain has a completely different moveset and power. Like they're gonna have to fucking make
Logia's our next. Like that's. I think that's why Smoker
Yeah.
wasn't in the season. They're like, hold up, we're doing Logia's next. Let us.
Yeah, we gotta see how well this does before you invest another $1 million for this one character.
They're gonna keep going back to the. They're gonna keep going back to the Baradier because they already paid for it.
And then fucking Zoans as well. Like they're gonna have to do like hybrid animals.
They could actually, with the practical effects with the fishmen, like it's gonna look a little corny, but they can do the hybrid animals at least.
I think they could, but like you also have to do
Chopper. Oh my god, what are they gonna do about Chopper?
Man, he's gonna be like, he's gonna get that Sonic the Hedgehog treatment.
Now Chopper's gonna look cursed, but Brook is gonna look so fucking funny.
Brook's gonna look cool. I think they can do him well.
Brook standing next to live action Zoro's gonna kill me, bro. It's gonna look so funny.
He's just gonna be like one of those skeletons you see in your science classroom.
The set dressing people are currently considering ending their lives over having to make Fishman Island and Whole Cake.
Oh my god.
Those sets are like out of this world weird for them to make, so that's gonna be.
We had to bake an actual. We had to bake an actual 50 or 500-foot cake.
We literally made a set of full chocolate. We did not spare any expense. But
Skypiea at least is just trees for the most part because they're in that
they
jungle
can just
area.
throw a bunch of like cotton on the ground and be like, "Yep,
There you go.
we did it." But yeah, I think that's good on One Piece. Tyler, I hope you enjoy the. Are you gonna watch it with Kelly?
Yeah.
Episode?
We're just we're at peak Wano right now. The raid has started.
Oh, let's go.
Woo.
Oh, Tyler's also been
Yeah.
waiting for this because he's been wanting to rewatch it. Let us know what you think. And Bradley, I actually had a question for you. I'm guessing, did Emmy watch with you, and what did she think as someone who's like not into or like not into the manga or anything? Like I like the people who haven't read it. They seem to enjoy it even more, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, no, she liked it. She said it. She thought it was really good, which kind of tracks with almost everybody I know who hasn't like watched or read the original who's seen this. Seems like they had a good experience with it.
Like Ryan loved it, and he's reading the manga now. I'm like, I won. I did it.
Dude, I really feel like One Piece as a franchise, I feel like was planning for this year for a long time.
Yeah.
Because Gear 5
Gear
drops
5
in the anime,
yeah.
you get your live action. They opened up the card game a year before, so it's already in full swing. Like I really feel like
this is
2023 feels like their push to turn it into like a worldwide known franchise, you know, which it already is, but like
it's big. Like it's a good time to be a fan right now, and like Ryan's already in Drum Island. That's how like Austin made a little thumb drive with like One Piece for trash. Like I'm living in an alternate timeline right now. It's weird.
This is wild.
This is weird.
And Austin's like, I think got through fucking East Blue. He's like, oh, I get it. Like
that Austin was making complaints about missing scenes. I was like, he's in there.
Yeah, when he brought up the Nojiko tattoos, I was like, oh, yeah, you're right.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Like Austin made me notice that. That's a huge W in my opinion.
Yeah. So I think
times.
if anything, the good thing is that, and like I was talking to, we were talking on Discord beforehand, but like people were talking about like what should I do after the One Piece live action? What should I be watching, or where should I start? And it started a huge argument about One Piece, which I think is hilarious.
Look, you can watch normal One Piece, but you gotta have the right hand key at the ready for when they cut back to people's faces, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and you're like, all right.
Yeah. My favorite clip is them showing the sumo fight from Wano that One Piece edits down.
Cursed.
It's like the biggest like this is why you do this kind of a thing.
So cursed.
But yeah, no, it's I think you're right, Bradley. Like this is the marketing push that 20 years in the making has been coming to. I mean, we're at the final saga right now.
Yeah, that too. We're gonna know what the One Piece is in like 3 years, and I'm gonna cry.
Maybe next year. Could you imagine next year?
Stop! I'm not ready yet. Give me 3.
I don't want it to be over.
So we just got the Roger flashback as well.
Oh, did Kelly like it? It was so good.
Yeah, it's good, but like, so here's the big difference between people who, so like, now that I've read so much of the manga and watched so much of the anime, I'll say there's 2 major differences, and these are what different audiences enjoy. With the manga, you get to talk about the mystery.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of mystery. If you're just watching the anime, it's all about the action and those funny moments and the music. Like, the mystery is only there if you know to watch it and if you've read it as well. Like, when I was an anime-only watcher, I was not into the mystery overarching.
No.
I was there for each episode, arc to arc, moment to moment.
I bet you would have been if you were always a weekly watcher. Weekly watchers do pay attention to the mysteries. I've seen them talk about it. Like, so it's just like when you're binging One Piece, you're not like, if you're not doing like a book club like we did with Bradley, you're not really stopping to think about that stuff. Like, and that's fair. I mean, that's fine.
But so now that it's interesting because I am where I'm at in the manga and rewatching these flashbacks, and I'm just like,
I know things.
Whoo. Yeah. It like Oda has so fucked up what the One Piece is, and Laugh Tale, like, it could be this, it could be that, it could be literally like 20 different things he's set it up to be.
All I know is it's laugh worthy. So I
I feel like it might be a huge hole in the ground. Okay? But not a wide hole, a deep hole.
We're doing a
Blue hole?
Oh, like the hole from Barton Springs?
No, it's just a deep hole or some shit. And the treasure is all the way, or it's not even a treasure, it's just there's something at the very bottom, and it's set there by Joy Boy. He's like, hey, I put this thing at the very bottom of this deep hole, and
now,
you can only get to this island if you have this devil fruit. Because you have to stretch your arm all the way to the bottom of the hole.
So I personally wouldn't, and it could happen, so I'm bracing for the worst. I would not like if only Luffy from the start could have gotten the One Piece, because then it would have made the journey a little bit artificial. A little bit. He still have to find it and fight for it, but it also means no one else could have gotten it, and I don't like that.
So I think the point is nobody else can get it. Because first of all, it is something like part of the tangibility of the One Piece is the knowledge. Like that is part of the treasure is knowledge of something, of the entire world. Mm-hmm. That is part of the final island is knowing everything. Mm-hmm. So, along with knowing everything, what else could they have needed to? Like they were too early. So obviously they need to wait for Joy Boy. Why does Joy Boy need to be, which is Luffy, the only person on that island? So literally, Luffy is the only person that island is waiting there for.
There could be so many different ways that line could make sense, though. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It also is like, it might be just like, if Joy Boy comes back, he fucks up the world government, and the world government's just putting him away for years, basically, by shuffling around the devil fruit or killing the youth or whenever he shows up.
Now, boys, I believe we have a little book club night dedicated to One Piece coming up in a few weeks, and maybe we can take some of these talks there.
Right now.
Look, all I'm saying, Willer,
so Kizaru, right?
Every time you said months ago, every time there's a weekly break, we'll talk about One Piece, and there's been like every other week for the past 2 months, and we ain't talking about it.
No, but then because of you guys, because I'm making it easier to schedule for you, we broke that rule and we do it when we stock up chapters now. We've been doing that for the past few.
Oh, we're supposed to stock up chapters?
I mean, I think we're currently at 3
I read
or 4.
week to week.
No,
dude,
yes.
That's the thing, is I've still been doing my strategy if I let 3 or 4 build up.
I don't mean literally stock up. I mean like when we got like 5 to talk about. We're currently at 4. We can talk about it next time, after the next chapter. How about that?
It's 2 weeks. We are on a 2-week break.
Release me.
I've
been here for forever.
He's got to talk about Adam Sandler right now. But too bad, you're going to have to hear about that next time. Thank you for listening, if you're listening, and thank you guys for joining me. Good talks. Lots of laughs today. You guys are wilding out. I have some titles I'm going to run by you. We'll see. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye!